No one will see this part. I can say anything. Oh my God, there are people here. Never mind. Wow. I don't know what I would have said. I hope that I had spent a minute getting the thumbnail. They don't let you take the thumbnail anymore. I'm not doing this for any reason. It's 10 degrees in New York City, so I'm just here. I'm not like streaming for money or anything. I'm just making sure that this thumbnail shows up correctly. 2 people. Let me see 2 likes. I see 1 like. What am I doing? Who cares? JC is live. Okay, good. It has a picture of me. Originally, it was another picture of like the channel background. By the way, the channel background is from, oh, that's better. Lupin III, the Castle of Cagliostro, which I'm going to watch tonight. It's the first Hayao Miyazaki directed film. Pretty cool. Hey, Presley. Hello. I'm just streaming because it's really, really cold outside, and it has been for like 2 weeks. I've lived in New York for 8 years, and I've never seen this before. Tonight, it's going to be -1 degrees. You understand? We're going to be in overdraft. So I'm just here. Will I be taking it to the moon today? I'm going to be streaming today, and that's it. I'm really tired lately. It's been exhausting. I have had such an insane 6-7 months. Shush. So pardon me for the videos being a little more sparse. My quality control has gone up a little bit. I say that like I didn't just post a picture of me taking a shit, but that's quality. We were in a Discord call, and I was like, I think if I took like a picture of me taking a shit and put it on the channel, it'd still get like about 2,000 views. And it did. It got 2,500. So, but that's shock value. So, I had a stand-up competition last week that I was preparing for 2 months, and it went really nicely. And so a lot of my joke writing and stuff, and a lot of my tension creatively has been in that. And now for the last like week, it went well. I got my tape yesterday, by the way. I was gonna say Moon Crew. Moon Crew, if you have Moon Crew, I gave a piece of the tape to them yesterday. I don't want to spoil all the material because it's going to be part of upcoming projects and stuff. But there is a bit that I did that I'll never do again about Finding Nemo. So if you're in Moon Crew, it's in the Discord. And if you're not in Moon Crew, join Moon Crew. But like, that's not what the stream is. I'm not doing a Moon Crew stream. It is interesting. These streams are the only way that I really promote anything monetarily, other than like I do make a little bit of ad revenue, but it's nothing crazy. I make like $100 a month, which for a channel with like a couple of, evergreens isn't that much. But very grateful. That pays for groceries. JC Foster is Finding Nemo. Oh, he said the thing. I wholeheartedly thought this was going to be a video called JC is Live. That actually is a good idea. See, that's the thing, is that for a while, like back in the day, maybe like 2021, I would make videos that were just like, you click them and it's just a troll video. Like I had a video that was called, I can't believe I removed this. I think it's gone. And this is an example of like, okay, I get to removal happy because, to be fair, I want to do a good job. I want to be stalwart. I want it to be so that people can click any video and it'll be as good as another. It's a good ideal, but like, what about the esoteric, weird, funny jokes? Like, I love those. One of the jokes that I had on the channel was a video called Aaron Sorkin Announces New Playboy Cardi Collaboration Script, or something like that. And it had pictures of the two of them, like, and it was like, whatever. And then it was just like me going like, ha, you're white. And that was the whole video. Like popping on screen on a white background, shirtless, just going, ha, you're white. And that's great. And I don't know why I took that down. I don't remember. It might still be there. You know what's interesting actually about, I started on YouTube, right? 2019, but really 2020 is when it started to be, oh, I make videos. And then 2019, I also started doing stand-up comedy, which is the greatest mistake for any creative person, by the way, is like getting into stand-up. Unless you fucking truly love stand-up, don't even worry about it. Because people think, I got into stand-up because I was like, oh, if I'm not doing it on stage, like if I'm just funny on the internet, then I'm not real. I'm like, that's not true at all. In fact, I know a lot of people who are really good at stand-up who can't be funny on the internet, or who don't know how to make things that are compelling on the internet. There's a whole different set of rules we run by. In fact, it's really interesting. I know people who killer comedians, who then they take that bit that kills in the room, put it online, and it doesn't have that thing, that thing that would, and that's not even, that's not even because they're like untalented. They're incredibly talented. Um, the loss of Doggy in the Sky. Doggy in the Sky is still Care Package 7 should still be up. In fact, I'll put up Doggy in the Sky as its own video. I really should. Because it's on the Instagram too. It's still just there. Care Package 7. I'm looking to see if it's still there. It should be there. Yeah, it's there. Care Package 7 has Doggy in the Sky in it. And my friend always told me you should make Doggy in the Sky like a real video. And I did on Instagram and it did pretty well. Yeah, it's inside of Care Package 7. I was thinking it'd be cool. I was just thinking it'd be cool if he did another live. I'd like to do these once a week because, okay, here's the funny thing. To monetize the channel, I have 2 ways that I'm going to do it now. I'm going to make an album called Homeworlds. Here we go. I'm announcing Homeworlds. I've made a first draft of the record and now I'm making another one because it needs to be longer. It needs to be better. And it's just easy listening. You can fall asleep to it. You can study to it. It's very, very, very minimal ambient, sort of lo-fi, a little bit of lo-fi hip hop meets ambient music is kind of the idea. Like really, really easy to like do anything you want to, just soothing, chill music. It'll be called Homeworlds. I made a 5-track version that got rejected because it was just ambient. And a lot of the distributors and Spotify and stuff have cracked down on ambient, which is a real shame because I really love ambient. But they're trying to avoid bot farming. But we're going to release an actual easy listening album, and I'm going to tell everybody in the streams and in the whatever, if you want to support the channel and you don't want to join Moon Crew, go listen to Homeworlds. So that's like my new idea, and I've been working on that for a while too. It's funny, like I make YouTube videos, but I've been focusing on stand-up and like ambient music. And it's been like, when am I going to make a video again? So that's part of why I'm streaming too, is to firstly explain that to any of you who are like maybe fans of the channel who are like, where is he? I'm actually really creatively inspired right now, and you're getting none of it. You're getting like none. I feel like Angry Video Game Nerd, which you should just cut me saying that. But I feel like Angry Video Game Nerd, when he was working on the AVGN movie, which hopefully whatever I make is better than that. But when he was working on it, he stopped making Angry Video Game Nerd, and people were like, where's the nerd? Where's the fucking nerd? How hard is it to review an NES game? Which, to be fair, I don't think James Rolfe realizes, to go off on a Cinemassacre tangent here, I don't think James Rolfe realizes that he could make just like Let's Plays. And I don't mean like, I guess he does do that, and they're okay. But like he could make like, he could probably host like a video game review podcast and not the Cinemassacre podcast. He needs to be behind it because everybody he works with is. I mean, do you guys know Cinemassacre? Am I like preaching to nobody? Sometimes I'm Angry Video Game Nerd, but without the video game nerd. Yeah. Sometimes I was going to try and pick which of video game and nerd is funniest, but none of them are that funny to isolate on their own. I guess nerd, but sometimes I'm gamer. Yeah, so that's what's going on with me. And the other thing is I go on the Discord a lot, my Discord, which if you're not in the Discord, by the way, and you're into comedy and art and creativity, it's really fun. It feels like the Discord has had like a real like movement forward in the last like couple of weeks. Like it's just like people are on there and they're really funny now. I'll tell you something else. I got to tell you this. Didn't H-Bomber guy expose AVGN for plagiarism? I don't know about that. I know there was some kind of the Cinemassacre truth, but that was more about something else, I think, because people just be hating on James. I think James is really easy to hate on because he's pretty vulnerable, frankly. Like he's actually a really vulnerable creator. That's why he was so interesting to me when I was in like 6th or 7th grade. I got really into him for a couple of years because I don't know if I've still ever seen an adult be so openly like childlike and joyous like on their YouTube channel. It's a really cool thing about his stuff, and it can have like a side of like, oh, he's like an adult and he's being, but it's like it's what he does. He makes stuff about when he was a kid, and he keeps that flame alive. And he owns a Commodore 64. Like, who owns a Commodore 64? Yeah, I would say ASL. New York City, it's 10 degrees outside. And I am male and 27. 27. You can tell that I've been listening to like Judy Garland. I've been listening to a lot of Judy Garland. Anyway, what's your favorite game? Town of Salem is up there, but like if we're talking like games, any of the 3D Mario games is really cool. I love puzzle games, Tetris and Magical Drop 2 on the Super Nintendo and Super Famicom. It's on the Switch like store or whatever, the online, you know what I mean? Magical Drop 2 is a great puzzle game, like one of the best I've ever played. I got really into it. If you release an extended version of Good Enough, I'll break dance to it. I actually have it. That's the funny thing. I've made it pretty recently. 109900 remastered, or at least Good Enough extended, is going to come out. In fact, I should just release Good Enough extended. We don't need the rest taken care of that much. Although I did remaster Monsoon as well. I might as well remaster the whole record. The problem is that the stems are gone. The record is mixed in mono because the idea at the time was, let's not try to be so ambitious. Let's make it clear that this is trying to be like, you're listening to files. You're not listening to like, wow, I'm listening to a pop song. You're listening to files. This is outsider music. And I think that works for an aesthetic, but you know, the Good Enough remaster kind of, and actually, to be fair, Good Enough, the original, is also stereo because the record is mono, 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 and then stereo at the end, which actually was inspired by Pet Sounds. Pet Sounds mono I actually like better than Pet Sounds stereo, just because it's a little too like lopsided. So Pet Sounds mono I liked at the time, and I was like, let me be like Pet Sounds. Pet Sounds a great record. Do you play Magical Drop 2 with friends or solo? Only solo. I have never played it with friends, actually. I don't know anyone who plays it, and I can't even find like anybody who like, no one speed runs it or plays it. Like, I can't tell how good I am at the game because I got better. That was a weird game because it's the first game I ever actually got better at, which I don't tend to do. I am circumcised. I don't know why I would tell you that. But yeah, extended version of Good Enough exists. Actually, I gave it to Moon Crew. Moon Crew has it. JC, I really don't want to study, even though I have 2 exams this week. What do I do? What are the exams in? Let me know. Thoughts on Pinocchio? I like Pinocchio. I think it's one of my favorite animated Disney films, if we're talking about like that version of it. And I watched it a little more than the other ones as a kid because it was about a boy, and when you're a boy, you don't watch Disney princess films, but you'll watch Pinocchio. So I watched it with my granddad. That's funny, actually, is that my granddad and I kind of had a, you know, Pinocchio and Giuseppe kind of thing because we watched that movie and I thought of him that way. And he made me a real boy, right? Or he doesn't really. It's the fairy. I actually have puppeteered Pinocchio. Isn't that weird? I've played Pinocchio on the Disney Cruise Line. I did Pinocchio for about 7 seconds on the worst puppet ever, totally broken. Biochemistry and multivariable calculus. I can give you no help in those departments. Watching this video, you will have information from those subjects crawl out of your head. I can promise you that. Be responsible, young man or young lady or young them. BioShock is awesome. It is. This is a different stream than usual because usually I'm like really beholden to reading the stream because I'm like promoting Moon Crew or something. I'm literally just here because it's been colder than cold in New York City, ice cold for fucking 2.5 weeks. It's currently, and I was in Florida to take care of my mom for like 4 days in the middle of this. So it was, even before that, it was this cold, and then it's still this cold. So it might be 3 weeks now. It's like COVID practically in terms of like, you can't go anywhere. It's 10 degrees outside right now, and it's supposed to be -1 tonight is what I originally saw. Now it says 1. We got out of overdraft. I've been making that joke all day. We're gonna overdraft. I've never seen negative temperatures in New York City. I've seen them in, when have you guys been in negative? I appreciate Troy got the reference. Who are you? Genuine question. I'm, yeah, what if I just spent the whole stream explaining who I am? That's a really good idea, actually, because I think that's the reason to do these things. And I've been making stupid sketch videos for 7 years, and I just posted a picture of me taking a shit. So I feel like we got to a point where it's time for me to, yeah. I should finally make a video that's like, I should explain who I am. Hello, I am a medieval studies scholar with a PhD in, have you guys watched Gavin the Medievalist? Great YouTube channel. He's brand new. I actually want to interview him. I want to interview YouTube. Like, that's what's crazy. I find YouTubers who have 15,000 subscribers, which is big still to me. I'm like, whoa, and it's like, wait, I have 40. And then it's like, to me, this person is like actually making something. Like, this guy is a medieval scholar, studies the Germanic folklore. Beowulf was the reason I got into him, because I actually have Beowulf right here. I'm going to read you a passage from Beowulf for you absolute dorks to close this stream, because I read a part of this yesterday that it nourished me, dude. Anyway, who am I? I was born in Maryland in 1998. My father works for the NBA and traveled a lot for work. And so I think of myself as an odd combination of a guy raised by his mom and not a guy whose dad left. It wasn't like that. So I'm kind of effeminate and I'm kind of comfortable. I'm actually less comfortable around men, is something I've discovered recently. I love that that's the first thing I explained, but it's what's on my mind recently. What else? It explains, I think that's why I'm a little funny. My mom was a huge fan of John Waters. I didn't even know who John Waters was until I was much older. So I actually got a bunch of John Waters thrown into me via my mom's sense of humor, but digested through her and through kind of, we were Catholic. We were all these Catholicism's got a weird kind of funniness to it. It's very like earnestly funny. And then of course also like very, very dark, obviously. I have a joke that I've been telling on stage, which is that I could go back to being an altar boy because I was an altar boy and it would be a great time. I'm 27 and I'd be there with the 11-year-olds and they'd be like, well, hey, I'd be like, hey, at least it's not going to be me. God, I fucked up telling that, but I'm not telling jokes on stream right now. That's why I fucked it up. But anyway, so that's why I think I'm a little, and there's a little bit of autism in me and a little bit of whatever, a certain degree of agitation and anxiety and whatever. And I think I'm a little bit of an overthinker or a deep thinker. I'm thoughtful. I can't tell, like overthinker or thoughtful. I sit somewhere on the line, I think. Sometimes way in one, way in the other. I think all of that makes me pretty funny. That is one of my favorite things I've ever done on stream. Just try really hard to just earnestly explain who I am. I've been doing this so much my whole life, and now it's a meme. I actually, thank God, I forgot, and it came back up. I gave the bone away, and the dog brought it back just now, but there's a bit that I really want to do, which is that in like the year 3000, any body language you have will be attached to a meme. Like, you can't do this because it's 6'7". You can't go like this because it's like, I don't know. I haven't figured out what the bit like progression is, but the idea of like, just like a guy trying to be human and everybody's like, oh, he did the thing. I want to do that. That would be really good. That's my first idea I've had in a while where I'm like, okay, I have to make that because that's been my problem lately. I did this on my knee recovery video, which by the way, you guys should watch. My knee recovery video is so good and no one gave a fuck. That's not true. That's not true. It was not compelling to click on. That's okay. And people in the comments were really supportive. Also, there's something about like the people in the comments who were really into the video were all like, I have an injury too, or I've been through this. And I think people who haven't would watch that video and be like, nothing's happening. It's like, no, like you hurt your leg and accidentally do the stanky leg. That's the other thing. I should have had that video turn funny, but I just wasn't in that mood. Yeah, exactly. Yo, he did the drinking thing. Biggest rock in my craw is innocuous things getting co-opted by shitty memes. That's why should I share my Reddit username? My Reddit username is Moonman, partly because the channel is called whatever, and of course I'm Moonman. So on Reddit I'm Moonman, but the reason I also like having it is that Moonman was like the character from the McDonald's commercials that was co-opted by white supremacists. It's like, fuck you, give me that back. Yeah, St. Pepsi, exactly. Yeah, I don't know where I was aware if the knee video existed. I think it's kind of probably underperforming in the sort of algo department. It's fine. I don't know why I'm a little salty because I don't know if I'm salty. I'm pretty happy with it. Mac Tonight is a white supremacist. Exactly. No one really knows, but there was a period of time where it was. And because I guess white supremacists were like, oh, the moon is white, the moon man, that's our guy. But that's like such a bastardization of like everything the moon means. The moon is such a beautiful symbol. I didn't even really think about it when I chose the channel, but it's come to mean a lot to me, the moon. It has phases. It comes and goes, which is very true of people who make sketches and comedy and stuff. It comes and goes. You wax and you wane 100%. And you have to. Because actually I had a really, really, really talented friend of mine who's a stand-up comedian at the Cellar tell me comedy is an addiction. And that's why it's in my text. What did he say to me? It was so good. I asked him a question about comedy, like comedy addiction. Where are you? Oh, you know what? Comedy is a drug and people don't know how to do it. Where is it? most people. I can't find it. Okay. Anyway, I was like, why do you think most comedians are like really kind of unhappy? And he was like, because comedy's a drug and most people don't know how to manage addiction. And I was just like, wow. And then we would talk about it from there. That's the other thing. Moon's made of cheese. He's just Saint Pepsi or Mac tonight. Now, I think he just goes by Saint Pepsi. What do you have? What if you have to go to comedy rehab and go to cold turkey out comedy? Okay, I love that you said that because earlier last year I actually did something called comedy rehab, which was I was in this theater production that was a comedy. It was really quite underprepared script wise, so it was hard to perform. I did my best, and I was kind of lucky that my character was easier to make funny, and I'm decently talented at shining up shit comedically and finding jokes in the body language. If you can't make the line funny, do something else. But I still had lines that always bombed just because they were like, what are you going to do with it? So you just said them as dialogue and you kept going. And of course, the audience hated the show. So it's like you're also working against that. So there's just quite the ceiling on how well you can do as a comedic stage actor. But anyway, after a month of performing that show, how are you, Monkey Art? We're just talking. It's really cold here. After a month of performing that show, I had a physical response to just bombing in front of people for a fucking month. And to be fair, I think it might have been good for me because now I don't give a fuck. Like it doesn't hurt anymore to bomb and stand up because at least I'm saying my words. At least I have control over whether or not the jokes are good. Which is a good thing. But anyway, sorry. I went through something called comedy rehab that I named of just, I went to open mics and just talked and didn't try to be funny because trying to be funny felt like shit because being funny like that on stage was just like so bad. And then it came back like slowly. And now I actually think that after some sets I've done recently, I think I've had a nice progression. Like I'm comfortable releasing my stand-up now. I don't have enough yet to release, but previously I was like, I can't put this out. It's not good enough. And now I'm like, no, okay, that's releasable material. Sorry to ask this again without making myself sound annoying, but how long? Are there any skits you'd consider your favorite? Dear Nightclub's up there just because I love that you can see me figure out what the bit is and know I'm laughing in that video because I know what I'm gonna edit in all those deer later. I'm like, because I think I stood up with no punchline in mind. I just had the idea of I'm a guy letting deer into a nightclub. Like that image just was funny to me, so we'll start from there. And you can see me have the idea for what's going to be on screen while it's on screen, and I don't know if that's just really cool. I do not smoke tobacco. What else? Though, because I feel like the Deer Nightclub's a cop out. It's too big, and there's things about Deer Nightclub that are cool. But my favorite sketch, any sketch where I like get a bunch of jokes in a row is always cool to me. No goal for this stream. We're just hanging out. It's really, really cold outside, and I've been just indoors for 2.5 weeks now. And I happened to be going into switching jobs. So I'm not unemployed, but my seasonal kind of based gig work isn't going to come back for at least another couple of weeks here. So what's your favorite component to solder on a PCB? Kind of personal, I know. I have not seen Iron Lung. I should. I really like the room tone skit. Wait. The room tone skit. Wait, is that still around? Because I remember I had a room tone skit that I really liked, but I took it down, didn't I? I shouldn't have taken that down. It's down. That was a funny video, but I got a little ashamed. For those who didn't see it, the room tone video, correct me if I'm wrong, was I was taking room tone. I was like, we're taking room tone. And then the minute I started taking room tone, just the longest fart while I'm taking the room tone. And then I stopped farting and go, all right, we got the room tone. I think part of it was just batless signal. You really do like my dumbest bits. Those are two really dumb bits. Batless bat signal calls a man. That's good. I guess maybe I can make those again. I don't know. Hey, Stroom, how are you? Yeah, everything's fine. It's just really cold outside, and so I'm here. Also, okay, and it's just really fun to talk openly about the channel and what it means to have an audience, and also have the rest of your life. Is like there's 40,000 people subscribed to this channel, but something, I don't know what it is. It's just that I've been doing this for 7 years. It doesn't really feel like anything, which sounds probably really crazy and maybe even ungrateful, which I'm very grateful. But it's more like your body's used to the idea. Oh yeah, there's these people who like watch something I'll make. And it's funny to think if I were to go back 3-4 years and go, hey, you have 40,000 subscribers now. It's oh hey, I'll tell you about something in a second. Really cool that just happened. Oh, what was I talking about? Sorry, so many things. The screen, I get messages, whatever. Sorry, guys. Oh, just that the channel is this apparatus, and the channel viewers and the Discord are actually separate. Like, not everyone in the Discord's on the channel, yada yada, but it can feel that way. Batless is special to me because I was the one you came in to make the signal edit. Sure, Crow. Hey, Crow, how are you? I'm sorry I took that down. Okay, so last week I go to a comedy show. Actually, I wonder if Mateo, are you in chat right now? Maybe you saw the stream and that's why you texted me. Guy named Mateo who ran into me at an open mic. Hey, that's so cool. Mateo, can I tell them, you got to give me permission, but can I tell them your 30 Rock cast member joke? Can I tell them? It's so fucking funny. Okay. So Mateo and I were at an open mic at Greenwich Comedy Club, which is one of my favorite comedy rooms in the city. I get to tell your joke. Oh, this is so fun. And he knew the channel, and I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Like, no one from an open mic's ever recognized the channel, so that was cool. And then we were on a show together not long ago, like a week ago, and he did so well. And I was like really proud because my channel's subscribers on the Discord have made me worry sometimes that maybe not a single one of you is a funny person. Although that's changed recently. The Discord's really funny right now. Okay, Mateo told this joke that I'm getting to tell to you 29 people. So, and I want to tell it as short, the version. I texted my family this joke, Mateo. I said, you got to hear this joke that this guy told. Partially because he knew the channel and then he told this joke. It was whatever. So, narcissistic of me, but also, here we go. So Alec Baldwin's getting a vasectomy. He'll be shooting blanks now. Winner, winner. That's a winner. I cackled really hard at that. Those are your laughs in the chat, Mateo. Those are your laughs. Anyway, it was really cool. It made me feel a little bit like, similar feeling that I had when some people recognized. I went to see Matt Johnson's new movie, the Nirvana, the band, the movie. Great movie, by the way. When it comes out in broad theaters, it's going to be great. But met Matt Johnson before the screening, and then people after the thing recognized me because it's the same audience. It's like YouTube kind of whatever. It was really cool. I was like, I'm at a movie premiere and people know who I am. But, and people took pictures with me and whatever. But what was cool about it is that Stavros Halkias was there, Matt Johnson's there. These people who I kind of look up to, I go, they're really funny and I'm really into this scene. And people here recognizing me. So I must be part of something here. I must be part of, like, I don't know, like dirtbag leftist, dumbass comedy. Or I don't know. It was just a meaningful night. And meeting someone who knew the channel, who also was like good at stand-up comedy, I was like, great. That wasn't happening 5 years ago. Yeah, it's an elegant joke. Wait, where is... Okay, Malvarez 97. If I see Malvarez 97, I'll know it's you. Anyway, so there's nothing I'm doing on stream. I'm just hanging out because it's 10 degrees outside. And it's supposed to be really, really cold tonight, like 0. This is the coldest day, and it's been cold for 3 weeks, and now we're having like, this is like the final boss battle, I hope. But then we're going to be living in the 30s for like, a month. And we're already living in the 30s, really. We my republic, am I right, folks? Donald Trump, not a big fan. Anyway, that's the other thing is that, okay, so from the knee injury that I had in like the early part of last month and then got better, whatever, and I'm also between jobs and it's this cold outside. And yeah, do I even need to say, like, do I even need to go into this? That's all I'll say. I've read the files, not all of them. Had to check if my name was redacted. Here's a joke that I haven't done on stage yet, which is, and I don't think I can. People don't like it, but I think it's funny. I think it's internet humor, though. Like, again, I think it's maybe it's a sketch. Maybe it's a sketch, and I haven't been making sketches. I should get back to making sketches. So I think that ICE should have to identify themselves by their gamer tag from Xbox Live back in the day, from when they were calling us all that shit when they were in 5th grade. That's the premise. And the punchline is you could go up to ICE with your phone and be like, yeah, you got to get out of my city, motherfucker. I know who you are. Queef, burglar, N-word, 65, whatever. I don't know. But I told friends that joke. I was like, do you think I should do this on stage? And they were like, no. And I was like, okay. Exactly. But that Stroop, your reaction is the reason it can't be done yet. That could be something. That means it's not there yet. And also, I just don't know. I don't know if it can be made funny. Not really. It can be made like a joke. I do agree it's better as a sketch. Wonder how, and you know what's really interesting that I haven't been doing in a while, because I've been doing stand-up more than sketch, is, okay, how does that become visual? Like, how does that become a visual, almost like a cartoon strip? Okay, the opposite of the fab sketch I asked earlier, what do I hate the most? If I really hate something, it's not there anymore. But I think there's things up that I'm like, oh, that could have been better. But of course, the process that I have is like quick, intentionally get it out there, ship. Don't focus on process, focus on whatever. And it's, I think that leads to me being pretty lenient against something if it's not perfect. But it sucks when something you go, oh, that could have been really, really good, and it was just fine. I can't think of any off the top of my head, which makes me pretty happy but again, they would be gone. One thing I don't like is when I feel the need where I'm like, I gotta get a video up, and I'll put something up where I'm like, I don't know, like, it's not something I would make if I didn't feel the anxiety of, oh, I gotta get something up. Anything that I've done for that reason, that doesn't sculpt into something, because that's the funny thing is Elvis was made for that reason. I was like, oh, I gotta get a video up, but then I was like, well, this sucks really bad. I have to like granular edit this video to be funny. That's the funny thing about Elvis, is it's the worst bit ever. It's the worst bit ever, but then it's put into this like really specific way we tell the joke, and that's actually what people like about it. And then you can do the Rick and Morty. Like, imagine if it was just Rick and Morty. Like, people do isolate that, but if it was just that, or if it was just the original idea had too many songs. So any of my least favorite videos are the ones that aren't finished. But I guess I take those down. Yeah, I take those down. I don't dislike any of my work. Have I watched the new season of Fallout? I have not watched the last season of Fallout. Maybe it ends up like a rom-com, the ICE agent and the protester having me. See, exactly. The minute that we make anything out of it. Here's the reason that it's not funny, and not you, it's not funny, is that like anything that's funny is like you need toys to play with. Like, it's like we're playing with like action figures, but I don't think ICE is a fun toy. Like, I think you don't want to, you're like, oh, that's like a really bad thing. I don't want to touch that. Like, I'm playing like with my toys. Whereas like, I can even think of like one of the most impressive, I don't know, how much do I want to just be, whatever. I don't want to talk about this. I was going to say that there's a Come Town bit, and exactly, like, I didn't want to talk about like, so there's a bit on a podcast, I don't know if you know, but there's a time where they're talking about like, what if Derek Chauvin's lawyer was just like a razzle dazzle lawyer, like, agree, just, whatever. It's like all famous. Anybody who's listened to the show like knows the bit. And for some reason it works. And I think it's because it's making fun of Derek Chauvin in a weird kind of way. It's also later. That's the other thing. During the trial, it's not like, oh, this just happened. So I can do the ICE joke in hopefully like August, because it'll be over. But it's not going to be over. That's the other thing. I don't know. And that's, so there's a few things keeping me from like being like, all right, it's time to be funny. Because like the day that Trump got reelected, I made the liberal January 6th joke. Like, that was like, and I felt proud of myself. I was like, I'm not waking up and sobbing or whatever. I'm going to, be funny, and I'm going to make fun of people and try and like have some perspective on this. But I don't feel that the same way now. I'm not like, it's just different. But also, I'm not a topical comedian for the most part. And I don't think it's bad to be topical, but I just think that the nature of YouTube is like, I'd like to make evergreen videos. nothing funnier than making something. Yeah, speak a little Chinese for them, Derek. It's just the funniest. It's amazing. And I listened to that bit and I was like, I think I learned something about bit writing from a lot of things about Nick Mullen and the fact that he's able to enter into like an amoral space. Same with Louis. You know, Cosby, Harvey Weinstein, Diddy. These are just like my idols. And literally a picture of you talking to a camera. That helped me get through that day, along with Schlatt. Oh, Xmas announcement. I'm glad to hear that, Stroom. I think that only applies to TikTok comments. I don't know what that's about. Oh, the comment sections of videos about the content of the files are just, they did what? Well, true. And well, also, I've noticed, here's my thing about not just the files, but the whole of, we could say this about all of the Trump era, but like, particularly now, because it's come into what it is. Like, it's been this the whole time. And it's interesting. You guys see, I didn't watch the video, but I know Andrew Schultz came out and was like, okay, leftists were right. Like, progressives, liberals were right. That like, okay, he's a fascist, which I appreciate, but it's like, you couldn't see it. Like, really? Was it not obvious for the first 8 years? It's been right there. Whatever. I mean, I don't know. I was going to say the thing about this. Here's my problem with the left in terms of particularly liberals, because I would call myself a leftist or a dirtbag progressive or a democratic socialist or maybe even an anarcho-communist. I don't know. You can call me all kinds of stuff. If I want to piss somebody off, I say I'm an anarcho-communist, but I actually don't know. I don't know. I mean, I also think political ideologies and stuff are the reason the left is so fractured. Like, can we be case by case with some issues? Can we be working from a place of like Mamdani's a really good example of like what a leftist politician should be right now. Like, I'm going to go and I'm going to fix the bike path. Okay. And I'm not going to hate Black people. Like, that's enough for where we're at right now. Unfortunately, I know we all want to have, you know, our ideology or whatever, but also that classic image that somebody posted recently that was like all the different extinct animals that are like, I can't wait for the fall of civilization so that my political ideology can rise from the ashes. Like, I think political ideologies as a whole, like, I like what's that channel called? That Gregory ironic political channel. What's that shit called? Anyway, political ideologies are a very, very concept heavy way to look at something that is fundamentally made of life. So I try not to define myself as like, I am a blank, because it's not how that works. There are days where I'm probably, I don't know if I want to say this, there are days where I'm probably like center right if you were to take it as the ideology, but most days I'm not. Let's put it that way. JREG, yes, thank you. I'm not center right. What am I talking about? Exactly. Do you see what I mean? Like, the minute that you're like, well, you know, my ideology, I'm not. But of course, like, there's times where like, okay, like I watched Into the Abyss with Werner Herzog. Great documentary, by the way. And it's very dark, and it's about the death row system, and it explains really compellingly why death row. It like really gives you reasoning that like death row sucks, and it doesn't really. I don't know if it just doesn't really make sense necessarily. I don't know. And I was watching it and I was like happy the guy was executed, because he's really, really bad. But and I was like, wow, that's weird. I agree with this documentary, but I'm still finding catharsis in knowing that this guy was executed for his crimes. That's really interesting to me, that I can watch like the guy. They have a great interview. I'll spoil a little bit because not all of you are going to watch it, but it's on Tubi. They have an interview with a guy who is the strap down guy. He's the strap on guy for Texas Corrections. He straps people down and unstraps them, and he spends 10 hours with them before they're, you know, given lethal injection. Why are my streams always, you learn a lot. If people asked a minute ago who I am, this is me. Like, I am very crazy, sort of dark interest, I guess. I'm very morbid. I guess I'm a little melancholic. But I'd like to think, but no, I don't know. The norm is that we don't think about these things. It's like, it's happening. It's right there. It's okay. It's not, I mean, it's weird. Anyway, this guy who's part of the execution process is literally like, you know, I did 100 of these and then I stopped because I was like, wait, because we executed a woman, that did change it for me and whatever. And this guy gives an interview where he's like, I used to be like, I will be professional. I will be part of like upholding the law if the law says, you know, whatever. Now No, nope, not anymore. We don't have the right to take a life. I don't care what. And it's really compelling. And then it cuts to like, you're like, oh my God. And then it cuts to an image of like, it's like text of like, the inmate was killed 8 days later. You're like, woo! If I recall, Herzog actually pulled an entire boat over a mountain during filming for Fitzcarraldo. Yeah. Is war good? No, war is terrible. War is the worst thing. I'm not saying defense is terrible, but anyway. Boy, I really like telling that description of watching Into the Abyss. That's the reason to talk about these kind of dark things, is that you'll get to the other end and you go, oh, that's actually really funny. It's like, probably you could say that on stage. Lumping people's ideologies into basic labels is overall detrimental to political discussion. Yeah, because no one. I mean, it's like, yeah. Also, I think the way we get into these situations where like fascism is running rampant in any form is, it seems to me, if you look at the times when collective kind of like psychosis has occurred and people just become fascist. I'm thinking obviously of like the Nazis, but I'm also thinking of like Argentina. I'm thinking of uh, really, I'm not that much of a historian, but the cases I understand of fascism and the bits of history that I know about how fascism started in the late 1800s into the 20th century, which again, total armchair here, but I feel like, layman's opinion, there seems to be a sense of like, you know what, fuck it, we're tired of where we're at. We're like politically tired, and we're like going to completely disengage from any form of politics, essentially, because it's really, fascism is very political, but at the same time, it's a complete disengagement from any kind of real like political acumen. Like that's why fascist regimes just like fall. Like they're tantrums. They're like completely like I'm taking my ball and I'm just gonna throw it at you. And there's like no political thing to it. It's a facade of power. Also, I didn't think I was going to talk about politics, but I was in an Uber ride pretty recently with a guy who, it was fucking fascinating because very quickly Trump came up. I was in Florida and he was an Uber driver from like Jersey who moved to Florida. Um, Uber drove as like his retirement job, and was talking about Trump pretty quickly into the conversation. And in the way that I can tell that because I'm 6 feet tall, white, sort of, just kind of like corn fed looking. A lot of conservatives open up to me in a way that they probably don't to other people. It's happened other times too. I got on a bus in DC. An old lady and I were sitting next to each other. She was so sort of sweet and nice, and oh, hello, whatever. And I think we had just come off the subway because we had to take a transfer. The subway was like skipping a stop. And we were like, oh, can you believe this? We have to skip a stop. Anyway, and I asked her, where are you headed? And she goes, I'm going to CPAC to see Steve Bannon right now. I was like, fuck, I have to talk to this lady now. And I'm just stuck with her for about 15 minutes. And that was maybe a year and a half ago, right at the beginning of the new Trump administration. And she was insane. She was like, do you know those areas of national parks where you're not allowed to go? What's happening there? I was like, I think animals are there. I think it's animals. Or it's, I don't know, pedophiles. I was going to say the guy, do I seem 5'8"? I feel like I do have short king energy. Moon guy 978. Oh shit. It's one of our own. Giant boiling pits of water. Yeah, she was insane. She was like, I used to be a libertarian, but now I'm a Trumper. I'm like, okay. As soon as I saw JC was live, I was like, time to use the computer. Well, at least there's no sex on TV. It seems today that all you see, what's happening in chat? I don't even know. If Jordan Peterson was right about one thing, if Jordan Peterson said that, he's correct. The weird thing about Jordan Peterson is that like his all this stuff is like woke, liberal, moralizing, like fuck you, whatever, and like I will eat meat until I drink a glass of maple syrup and die. But then when you read his books, it's like you should make your bed. So I don't know. He's oddly like when I'll be looking up like Jungian stuff. Like I'm a fan of that. I'm fascinated by kind of the collective unconscious studies of something a little more Jungian than Freud, whatever. I'll be looking into it, and then it'll be like Jordan Peterson talks about it. I'm like, I'm fine. It's kind of like how Hitler had good paintings. We're like, okay, but I guess I feel funny now. I know you're not 5 foot because I would take to the moon. It's so interesting how being on stream, it really activates me. Like if you were to go to the beginning of this stream, I'm very like, hey guys, whatever. And now I'm actually feeling very energetic. It tends to explode my throat chakra a little bit because it's like I'm talking. I mean, there's no one else to talk to. My theory is that I think Peterson does that to Peterson and Shapiro and Charlie Kirk, and you can even plenty of people who aren't. We're not even talking about politics right now. It's all just a grift. It's a grift for fucking, I don't know, like for views. They're just YouTubers. It makes me sweaty for some reason. Yeah, chat. Don't. I was gonna say, chat, can we get a We Are Charlie Kirk? But don't do that. We are Charlie Kirk. Dun 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 dun. Yeah. Who has influenced your humor? Who hasn't? You know. I don't know. So many people. That's what's nice. I actually was watching a clip of me doing stand-up the other day, and I was like, wow, I can see like 7 different comedians in me right now that I'm stealing from, and no one knows. I have a list of comedians I think are really good, but like I don't know. I think more than people, like they just like I found out about, I don't know. Okay, I'll talk about it. So in Jewish philosophy and theology, there's something called the Yetzer Hara, and I think it explains comedy better than anything, and also why Jews are funny. So the Yetzer Hara, I don't know what it means in Yiddish or whatever, but it's this force of waywardness that was put into people, like at the creation of man, of like, okay, you make Adam and Eve or whatever, and then it's like, well, if you just have like 2 perfect beings that are like completely subservient to you as God, which of course I'm not a theist, but this is all a metaphor. Well, if you have these 2 beings that are just gonna stand there and do nothing, well, this is what's happening. So God, quote unquote, puts in this little twist, and it's not good, it's not bad, but it's not good, but it's not bad, but it's not good. And it's just this twist. And it's not, like I said, good or bad, it's waywardness. And it's this thing of like, the human being has a certain waywardness. And it's that word, waywardness, and the concept of the Yetzer Hara has really been a great way for me to completely disengage from all the questions I had about what is comedy, what is funny. I don't think we have to know, but the Yetzer Hara as a concept, for one, it's a funny sounding phrase, which makes it even better. The Yetz, I love the idea of like an old Jewish man being like, the Yetzer Hara is all you need to know about being funny. I don't know if that was anti-Semitic, but no, it was Semitic. I just skimmed my first paragraph of the Wikipedia. Exactly, like. No, I was gonna say I've read a lot of stuff on comedy because as a kid, yeah, Strumpf, you're right. It's like committing to the bit. All the things that make like good comedy are in waywardness, relentlessness. Like, and that's why humor exists in a bit of an amoral zone, but it can be good or it can be bad. It can be used. Good humor, something that's really funny, can be good. You could also use humor to deeply hurt. So it's just a really interesting concept, the Yetzer Hara, and I find it very helpful for, just like I said, getting away from any idea that we can understand this and that we need to, which we don't. The other thing, this is something I've been really enjoying lately, and forget, we're not going to talk about comedy anymore because talking about comedy is boring as fuck. But sorry, they're going to somehow there's a fire happening. Someone in New York City is having a fire right now, and it is 10 degrees outside. Who is that? How did that happen? But bring it here. I've never seen a house on fire. Damn, that's fire. Wow, your cat sounds whack. Would I ever run for office? No. My biggest problem, this is my biggest problem with society right now, is that if like people being well and feeling okay and being communicative and fucking, I don't know how to talk about this. Anything that makes me fucking, I don't know, likable or compelling to other people should not be special. Like, the fact of the matter, like, you look at Mamdani. Mamdani's great. I really like him. But like, that guy shouldn't be rare. He's just a nice guy. He's just like actually cool. He's like, he seems to get it. He seems to be pretty good at communicating and keeping a level head. And everyone, put it this way. Sometimes I do bits about mental illness, and I'm like, I'm just doing easy stuff anyone can understand. That's how bad things have gotten. Everyone is mentally ill. So sometimes it's like, sometimes I feel like I take good care of myself. Like I especially on the psychological level of like, okay, I'm gonna like give myself validity, and I'm gonna like find vocabulary for like what I'm feeling, yada yada. But then the reward for that is like people are like, wow, you're like so like well spoken, you're so great. And it's like, this shouldn't be like, if you look at like video from the 80s and 90s, like people all could talk, like people could all like, you know what I mean? We're like entering post-literate, and that includes our ability to communicate with each other. I think that's one of the reasons irony is so big right now, and it has grown in the last 20 years. I like politicians. They don't get themselves swamped in easily. Oh, that don't get, yeah, absolutely. I like politicians that don't post the Obamas as gorillas. Can you believe that? Oh, but here's the thing. Okay, here's what I was going to say earlier. This is my problem with where generally anyone who wants to resist like fascism, I don't even know if that sentence ended. I'm being very unperformative right now, which is so fun. I'm having such a good time. We're still moralizing with these people. Like the leftist, or really the liberal way of handling the Trump administration still is like, how dare you? They don't care. They don't give a fuck. They don't think that way. And these are not, they don't have everyday virtue. They don't live that way. And literally like, every post is like, and it's not ever going to work. It didn't work the first 4 years. Didn't work during the 4 years he was gone. Going, you have threatened our democracy. It's like, yes, that's the point. That would you go to Hitler and be like, you're unkind? I can't get over. I actually think the image of just a person going, how dare you? Like, that's all I want. Just that image should be in all of our minds, because it's not working. It's not fucking working. And it's killing me. It's not working. And here's the moment that I fucking knew in 2024 that Trump was going to win. I knew he was going to win because I was working at a bar, a gay bar that I worked at and still work at. And it was like a 32-year-old white woman watching the election, and it was starting to look like he might win. And she goes, oh my God, we cannot have a Cheeto as the president. And I was like, fuck. No. It's 8 years later. It's been 8 years. Did that line work? We're still talking about Cheeto? It's fucking. And in that moment, he's going to be president again because liberals haven't fucking learned a thing about how to engage with power, really. Anyway, and that's my take. That's one of the reasons that I really like Mamdani's going to Trump and saying right to his face that he thinks you're a fascist. Like, it's just, and also explaining to Trump, 1 in 10 of my voters voted for you. It's fundamentally, I mean, Mamdani is a populist. So there's a concern there, 6'7", before anybody fucking says it. Anyway, yeah, I miss the old Kanye too. Did you guys see that he apologized? I hope that it's true. Like, I hope he really feels that way. I'd like to hear Kanye do an album about the experience of like disconnecting from reality, and like what more importantly, what brought him back if he comes back. I'm not a Ye guy really, but I do recognize like he has the artistic capacity to do that if he were to walk that path. And that would be good. That'd be a silver lining. It would be a healing for so many of his listeners who listened to him through all that, which is really crazy. I hope he realized his mistake, but would that make me want to forgive him? No, yeah, I don't feel forgiveness, but I feel a sense of possibility at what that person could, with their talents and this experience, maybe give to us. Like it would be good to have an artistic piece about, like, we need, and this is, I'm telling you, this is going to be the next 20 years of American art. Is maybe that's a little bit of a crazy statement, but like there's going to be a stretch of time where we are going to be focused on finding imagery to undeniably reveal the nature and the character of what makes someone have a fascist schizoid psychotic break en masse, because we need that. We need imagery of that. We're starved for images, and Werner Herzog said that. And Werner Herzog was born in, his whole era was coming out of the Third Reich into New German cinema, and there was a need for images. People need to see what's happening. That's why the fact we have phone footage of some of these things is a genuine what's the word, vital fucking thing. Like, imagine if there wasn't. Imagine how quickly these would just be news blurbs. It's crazy to think. Yeah, I know he's 48, but I do think that there's always possibility for somebody to, especially in the case of like a really big psychotic break, have some kind of movement towards. I'm not saying I think it's going to happen. I'm just saying it'd be cool. Might be a wishful think. Well, if it isn't Mr. Burger King himself. The nation's fingers are crossed that it's not just another bit. I hope he realized his mistake. Oh, I already read that one. Okay. Pink George Floyd goes to the moon. Boo. Putt Putt goes to the moon. Oh, I genuinely think Kanye doesn't actually know a lot of things he's saying. He strikes me as the one kid in class who doesn't pick up social cues, but also desperately wants attention. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, it's also kind of funny because like this stream is already like, actually, I'll watch this as a time capsule of kind of what this moment was. And I'll probably judge myself. I'll be like, why didn't he get like to do this, do that, do that? Be like, I'm still figuring out what to do. JC Foster speaks a little Chinese for him. JC leaves the foster home. We used to, at my house as a kid, answer the phone and we go, hello, foster home. I can't read that for Ostoy. Anyway. I'm very confused as to why both religious and political extremism is on the rise everywhere. I have a theory that it's like the secularization of society, decreasing meaning. People do now know, oh, thank you, Frostoy. People do now have more of a sense of the distance between a deist perspective of the West and science, I guess. And I think that's creating a crisis of meaning. And that's the funny thing, is I actually think that you can explain a lot of like how crazy the current kind of neoconservative movement is, as people who are deist, who can't let that go. I remember being a deist. I was Catholic until I was about 14. I had doubts. And then by 16, that was the 14 to 16, I slowly went from, believing to agnostic to like, oh, I just don't believe in a deity. And then in my 20s, I discovered, oh, there is a deity. It's the real world. This is God. It's God. This is great. So I think that bridge is really hard for people to cross. It was certainly hard for me to cross. So why wouldn't I be surprised that somebody who's lived with it for even longer because they weren't challenged on that, because they didn't live in a time of as much, you know, access to that information that kind of changed your mind, um, which I think the internet really does create, that in people. Those people have lived now into their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, their 60s, 70s with the deity. And now it's like the deity's not there. And I actually think that's a huge piece of it. And I can even point to times in conversation where, like, I remember very early on in the Trump first administration, I was talking to my neighbor who's really Republican. And I didn't even know until this conversation. Never knew her politics, but it turns out she's really conservative and works for the government, actually. And we talked about Trump and things that he'd done at the time that were bad. He had just met with Putin, I think, and it was like a kind of weird, genuflecting to Putin and all that. And I was like, is that, what I mean? And whatever. And she was like, after she had all of her talking points prepared, and then at the end, there were two talking points. I thought, like, keep those in mind. She goes, well, God made it happen. So it must be God put this man in office. So he's whatever. The weird thing is, there is an argument to be made in the secular variety of the secular God of that I can get into in a second. And that's my new opinion on Donald Trump is actually a little more in that camp. But I'll get to that. And then her other thing was, well, that's just my opinion. So then it's just completely solipsistic, which is that's just a sign that they don't care. But I think Donald Trump, this is what I was going to say about the God elected Donald Trump. God doesn't exist, and God didn't elect Donald Trump. But Donald Trump is the perfect American. Rich, white, male landowner, rapist, racist. And now we can probably add trafficking human beings. He's a perfect American. That is everything the country was built on and everything that it was designed to protect from the get-go. And that sounds very like, I hate America, radical. But like, I'm just saying, that's true. He's the perfect American. If you look at the mythology of what started in 1776 or whatever, or the Articles of Confederation or whatever, the first, I don't know my colonial history well enough. The minute those motherfuckers signed the Declaration of Independence, they put Donald Trump in office. Like he's designed for what they built. And we have progressed as a culture and as a world past that. But I don't think the country and its foundations and what it is has. And I can point to the fact, and I'm not saying get rid of the Constitution. I'm just saying we made a machine that makes Coca-Cola, and now we're drinking Coca-Cola. And I think when you think of it that way, it's very easy to go, oh, like I remember the day he won the second time. I think I made this joke on like Insta, but like that day was really special because I really thought Kamala would win. Like I really did. And I walked to work that day because I worked, that was awful, having to work in a gay bar and watch that. Like also just to watch a whole election. I'd never watched a whole election on TV before. It's exhausting. But anyway, I walked to work that day and I saw little girls. Okay, hold on. Don't clip that. I was walking to work and I saw little girls, like a couple of just like random like little girls with their moms. I was like, today's the day. Like they are gonna remember we got a woman president. It was like I remember the sun. It was a beautiful kind of day. The sun was shining, and I was like, this is like, look, that little girl's about to have a great day. I was wrong, unless she's a Republican. Just a bunch of little girls who just love Donald Trump. But anyway, Oh, I remember by the end of the day, I was like, right, I live in the United States. So Independence Day sounds like the perfect millennial Redditor replacement holiday like Friendsgiving. Whoa, JC. Oh yeah, I hate watching elections. Anyway, so that's all. That's where I'm at with all of what's going on in the news. And it's not meant to be transcendentalist or douchey. It's just, I am thoroughly convinced that nothing I can do like you're watching me have a bit of a crisis of how to talk about this, but nothing I can do is going to change the character of fascism. That's what I mean. Anyway. Wow, your videos are getting pretty long. Yeah, this one's an hour and 4 minutes. I did make a 6 minute video, which was my longest ever. I feel like moving out of the US is good for my mice and men moment. You could. I keep a lot of hope in my heart when I see Mamdani in office. I will say it is kind of nice to have him at least as my mayor, where I'm like, okay, cool. That's it's weird because like the propaganda is actually like the biggest issue. If I explain to my racist aunt, I got on the phone with my aunt, she was like, Mamdani's like 9/11, he's a Muslim. I'm like, if we elect the guy that did 9/11, that's on us. Can you imagine? Like, oh, we really like this guy's great. I'm gonna vote for him. He did 9/11. Like, I think New Yorkers won't let that happen. You stream this at like 3 in the morning in my time zone. Where are you, Frostoy? Sorry for the outdoor noises. I shouldn't even be on stream for that much longer because I'm not trying to really perform on stream today. I just think it's good to engage with the YouTube audience because I've been in a. I should go back to explaining that I went away to work on a big stand-up set for a while, and now I'm ready to get back to making videos pretty soon. But I'm also working on different monetization strategies for the channel. I want to release an easy listening album that people can listen to. That's also just like part of the channel's identity because I love that kind of stuff. Something people can like sleep to, work to, lo-fi kind of ambient. But making something that the distributors will take because they don't want bot farming is actually kind of tough. Like I've made things that I liked and I submitted a 5-track version of the record that got mostly rejected because they were like, oh, this is non-musical noise, it's ambient. We don't, do that because of the bot farming that they cracked down on in the last like 2 years on Spotify and Apple Music. So I just have to make something a little more musical. And so now I'm making those tracks. So it could be a little while till that comes out. But it means that although I'm a shitposter YouTuber, I'm focused on this fuller album that I'm making, which is a stand-up and music album. And then I'm also focused on making this kind of easy listening album and switching jobs. So that's one of the reasons that there's just been less videos for me. And it's funny because I think people right now, if you're like a fan of the channel, might be like, whoa, like where's JC? But I'm very creatively inspired. I'm just not getting it to shit posts right now. But I'm really looking forward to getting back to it. Yeah, they don't reject ambient on the grounds of musical stuff. It's just that there's a concern of people bot farming it, apparently. Understandable. Got to do stuff sometimes. It's not like I haven't taken hiatuses in the past. I didn't post a video for like 4 months for a while because I was working on a cruise ship. So whatever. Yeah, pepper bites. Absolutely. So much of right-wing politics feels like it's just reactive and deliberately antagonistic. It's also it's rhetorical in the sense that, there's a reason that comedy and debate are extreme values to that group, and why they're so obsessively good at it. Whereas I'd actually say that progressives, although I like their art better, are worse at theater of politics and stuff, because a leftist, a person, forget politics for a second, because I can say this in a way that isn't politically biased at all. Like, let's say you were a conservative candidate, but you had like reasonable policies. Like, let's talk about, like, I don't know, like, I'm not that into like establishment politics, but like, I don't know, Mitt Romney. I don't know. If you are just telling the truth, if you're working from the truth, you don't need rhetoric on your side. But if you're lying, you really, really need it. You need to be able to convince people of stuff, which is why Charlie Kirk is, for example, like, or Tony Hinchcliffe going and doing like a set of like Black people watermelon jokes at Madison Square Garden. That is so valuable to them. Theo Von, Joe Rogan, these people are valuable to the right because they are rhetorical. I mean, it's a thing of like, and you're totally right. Howdy, hello, hola, 98. Both parties are trash, but we're in a situation where we need to be very, very focused on at any given time, we should be focused on the party in power, I suppose. But like, I don't know. I really think that going, oh, both parties are trash, just doing that is what got us here in the first place. Because the fact that people think like, the Uber driver that I was in the car with was like, Kamala, like word salad. I'm like, that's not as big of a problem as threatening U.S. allies and having them draw out of trade with us. Like, that's not even remotely the same problem. Oh, she's like, I don't really like her. That's not the same problem. It's not. I think that's not entirely true because the truth can only be made digestible a certain amount, whereas the false can endlessly be simplified. That's true. But having someone to explain and rhetoricize and also propagandize. I mean, to have Charlie Kirk go and like, oh, you're from Indonesia. That's cool. That's awesome. I just learned about Borneo. Although that's Malaysian, isn't it? Anyway, and a couple other countries. Does Indonesia have a part of Borneo? Well, Joe Rogan, yeah, it's the whole thing. When you begin to realize both sides are filled with actors playing a role, right? Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about money, really. But where's the money right now? Having only two options means so many ideals are forced to be lumped together. It's true. It's very true. It sucks. I really do wish that we had ranked choice voting. That would get us out of this. It just needs to be like, it needs to be more boring. It's not, we don't need rock star presidents. We never have. It's like the difference between a million and a billion. A single human cannot differentiate. And where the hell the wisdom of the crowd says effed off to, I don't know. It's true. I've watched a couple of your streams and I noticed it eventually becomes a discussion of politics and comedy. Yeah, but that's usually it starts that way. That's kind of all I think about. Is I'm really into like armchair anthropology, and comedy and politics are kind of ways into that for me, and art. We have it up here in Maine, but boomers are super confused. I love Maine, by the way. I really love it. What else? I don't know. I mainly just made this stream to talk about nothing. It's good to be here. Whoever shorted the market prior to the Greenland talks at Davos made so much money. Yeah, probably did. You know what's a really good example of like the both parties suck, but like here's the paradigm. Is I was with a family member recently and I was like, oh, did you hear like Trump made $1.4 billion in his like first year in office? And my dad goes, yeah, well, Nancy Pelosi also, and whatever. But we have to remember Nancy Pelosi, and I looked into it. Nancy Pelosi over the course of 30 years has made $100 million, like $130 million, I think was the number, which obviously like, I don't think that's cool. But 1.4 billion in a year is different. Those are different things that exist on different paradigms. Both are bad, but there's a difference. And I think that's about how I feel about like Democrats and Republicans. One of them is like long-term fucking, lawful evil. And the other one is like, wait, $1.4 billion in a year. That to me is actually a pretty good, I think that's a decent model for like the evils of the parties and how they work. Also, like Biden running again was an absolute disgrace. Like that's half of the reason we're here. So can you help me with my organic chemistry homework, or is that not political enough? Let me be clear. We're not talking, firstly, no, I don't know anything. I actually looked into organic chemistry just for fun earlier this year. Like, oh, could I learn a little bit? And I learned like how to do like the most basic problems, whatever. And I already forget how, but I think it should be explained. Like, I'm not a person who's like labels myself as political, as like I have to be political I have to talk about politics right now. It's just that like the entire U.S. media and federal government establishment they're protecting pedophiles right now, right the fuck now. I posted on my Instagram, and this I didn't find this, but it was on Reddit. I was just shocked by it. The word "don't" is redacted in one of the Epstein files. They're subtracting Don T. Anything Don and then T and then something, like it's somewhere in the autofilter. Don T is in there. So like, what is that? And I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but like, it means that we know that there's times where he's mentioned in the files that are redacted. That's enough for me to be like, okay. I mean, there's also so much more. The birthday card is enough for me to be like, okay, if that's real, then we're done. We're done. Why would you have sexualized imagery and the mention of secrets on a card to Jeffrey Epstein? We're done. If Americans can't hold up a big foam finger about something, they just won't understand it. That's true. I am not suicidal. That is true. U.S. politics literally sounds like an actual joke. It's just red team versus blue team. Yeah, it's true. Can you help me with my? Oh yeah, yeah, Maine is great. I actually started like some of the channel. The music of a. It hasn't been used in a video in a while, but like my end guitar music, it's actually made in Maine. I was in like a cabin in Maine, and you can hear rain in the background. But yeah, I don't talk about politics or comedy because of anything other than that I guess they're what's going on for me, I suppose. And I don't feel like being funny right now. Boo hoo. Also, me not feeling like being funny, I've discovered is a little funnier. Like, I went on stage the other day for a stand up show and I was in just the worst mood. I didn't really feel like being funny, and I did better than usual because of it. I was like, oh, I really don't have to feel that funny to be funny. It's kind of not necessary. Funny's kind of bullshit. Frankly, parties should be organizing together against higher ups. Conflict makes money, but as Megadeth would say, peace sells, but who's buying? Very true. That Pablo song is a banger. Oh, thank you. Buster Keaton effect. What's that? I want to know what that is. I just a Raid Shadow. Oh, you got a Raid Shadow Legends ad on this video? It doesn't tell me that it's giving you guys like ads. Usually it does. Usually I skip them for you guys. Sorry. I might have not turned that on. We're talking about nothing. It's really cold. It's like 10 degrees in New York City, so I'm just streaming. I've been really like indoors and kind of I thought it would be good to kind of engage with you guys and just see how you're doing. Because for a minute I was in a weird place. I was like, isn't it weird that I have like 40,000 people who I can like kind of talk to? And now I'm like, no. And I don't know, like part of the fun of this is like the parasocial relationship on my end. Like I know you guys are like, you know, haha, I know JC, but you actually do. Like I think I'm pretty good at like knowing you guys as well as we can know each other. You know what I mean? We have a relationship. It's very simple and thin. But my favorite creators and comedians, I feel that connection to them. I'm like, I actually know this person. And I think one of my goals as a creative person is that like people actually can come to the Discord and talk to me, and I'm interested in that. Not because I should be adulated, but because I'd like to be the keystone to I don't know, somebody's community entrance into something. I don't know. Does that make me some kind of megalomaniac though? Isn't that crazy? That's how I feel. Oh, what movies have I seen recently? Yeah, we haven't talked about movies yet. I've been kind of acinematic for a while, which it's been a nice break. But what did I watch? I watched Dial M for Murder, Hitchcock, in 3D in the theater. My friend got us tickets. He said, you got to come to this. And he was right. It was so cool because it was in 3D, but it's made by Hitchcock. So it's got all the Hitchcock quality of like composition and whatever, and writing. It was really well written. But it's in 3D. So he's got this whole other thing to use. It was so cool. If you ever see that movie, don't just watch it in 3D. I'm sure there's versions out there that exist where you can get the red and blue glasses or whatever. It's like great 3D. And it's a one-room murder mystery play, basically. But because it's in 3D, you get to know the room really well. You get this sense of where you are that's just visceral, and you understand the murder case in a really special way that you can't in most movies. And you don't mind that it's in one room the same way as you might because you're in the room. It's 3D. So it's almost like a night at the theater. Really cool. Definitely made me go, man, it's weird. Like we have this technology, but like most movies aren't in 3D. Imagine if most movies were. And like, to be fair, most movies that are in 3D, I don't think really, it's mostly a spectacle element, which is fine. But to use it as a sort of, I guess, an artistic way to like, make it more vivid, to make the audience more witness to something, in this case, like a murder, was so cool. Just really utilitarian and smart. So that was cool. Yeah, you could watch it on 3DS. Isn't the whole movie purple if you do that? No. Oh wait, that's funny. That's funny. I've been on a bit of a David Lynch kick. Watched all the films except for Elephant Man, Eraserhead, and Inland Empire. I've actually only watched a couple myself. I watched Blue Velvet for the first time, and I loved it. I gotta watch Eraserhead. I watched The Man with the Golden Gun recently, and the stream froze on Christopher Lee's face, deadpan staring into the camera. People should be utilizing their mediums a lot more. That is well put. I know you're saying that because I use the term utility, but you said it better than I would. That's so simple. It's true. 3D does go in and out of fashion. VR cinema is tough because you have so little control of the, the shot. I think that's the one reason that VR. My favorite experiences in VR are things that are recreated that are about being there. Like my favorite VR experience I've ever had, two of them actually, was Superhot VR. That shit was amazing, fucking amazing. And I played it on PC, and PC Superhot is cool. It's just a cool game. PC or whatever, VR super hot is an experience, and you're really in it. There's more story to explain why you're in VR too. It's a little more augmented and like there's an integration of that. Um, but also doing those puzzles with the villains your size in front of you, feeling like there's actually a guy in front of you, the red guys, made it so intense. And I played through the whole game one night. Now, I don't think I've had a gaming experience anything like that, except maybe FNAF, the movie. Watched Yojimbo for the first time. Dude, Kurosawa is fucking amazing. He might be my favorite filmmaker. I went down a rabbit hole of his, and I still have to watch a lot of his movies, but I saw Ran in theaters recently in 4K. Woo! That was good. Ikiru is in my top 4 on Letterboxd. That might be the best film experience I've ever had. Just in a theater watching Ikiru, which, by the way, you should try to watch Ikiru in one sitting because it's a little long. It's like 2.5 hours, something like that. And it's in Japanese and it's black and white, and yada, yada, yada. All those things that make it like less, whatever. And the pacing is slow. It's old. It's an old movie. But if you see that movie in a theater or in a nice situation where you have to watch the whole thing on a nice TV and maybe it's dark, that movie will open up a part of you that is so transcendental and pretty and cool and sublime. The last shot of that movie is so cool. You really get to look from the land of the living into the dead and dead into the living, and this there's something about the full breath of life in that movie. So good. And I remember the hypnotic feeling I had leaving that film of how just the word sublime is all I can really come to. It's so good. And it's funny. It's actually a funny movie. Frankly, I hope VR isn't more utilized. It really messes up my head after a while. Yeah, me too. I haven't had a headset in a long time. That'd be really nice to have a headset in this room because it's a little bigger. I could actually have like a VR setup here. That'd be so fun. I was going to say my favorite VR experience was Super Hot and poker in VR, like sitting at a VR poker table and talking to people, and you could see their mouths move, and it was, as best it could be. But you could, especially during the pandemic, you could talk to people from around the world and play poker with them for real. It's practically the same thing as real life. It's just a little more, digital avatars. But you had a sense of the social. You had hand movements, so body language was there. Like you could see their floating hands of what they were doing. So you could talk to people from everywhere, and the kinds of conversations you would get into over the poker table were really cool. That was what VR was for me when I was in my VR phase. And if I were to go back, it was the ease of connection with other people that it has. Similarly, one time, me and my friend, we both had the game Wander, which is a Google Maps like VR kind of thing. You can just go and like look at any place that's on Google Maps, but you can like look around it. It's not 3D because it's just the 2-dimensional Google Maps images, but it's a really, really cool way to kind of like explore the world in this 3-dimensional way, get a sense of presence. And of course, the first thing you're going to do is let's go look at, the Eiffel Tower, whatever. Let's go look at my childhood home. But then when you play co-op, this is probably the thing that made me realize at first that VR had something that other things don't have, which is the fact that me and my friend played co-op, and we went to my childhood home and their childhood home. We met each other in college, so we didn't know anything about where each other were from other than the basics. And we brought each other around our communities, and we showed each other around. We took tours of our hometowns, and the empathy that it built and the sense of truth that it built was kind of unparalleled to anything else I've ever done, on the internet or anything like that, or in media. And there was a moment in particular that I remember where my friend and I were looking out over a reservoir that had dried up in California because of the drought in their community. And if we had been sitting in a coffee shop and they said, yeah, there's this reservoir and it's dried up and whatever, I would be like, oh, wow, that sounds very dramatic or whatever. But I would kind of it just goes away. It's one of those things of, oh yeah, you intellectualize that and you go, sure, I understand. But standing there in VR and looking at a Google Street View of the dried up reservoir is absolutely unforgettable. And the kind of, like I said, the empathy that it built is that like news should be delivered via VR, where it's like, if you want to, like, this is dark, but pick, like, I don't need to get specific, pick any war zone, pick any, scene of something political, like being able to stand there and look around like this and go, oh, Wow, it's similar to like Lessons of Darkness by, again, Werner Herzog is such a guiding light for me lately, where it's like, let's just set up a camera and like videotape a burning Kuwaiti oil field. That's going to mean more to people than going, so yeah, this many barrels were, this many oil barrels were lost. It's just, Anyway, my favorite VR games are the I Expect You to Die trilogy. I love puzzle games and getting to play as a spy. So fun, really escape room-esque. I do like those kind of games. I haven't played an escape room in a long time. Well, hopefully that's the other thing is that not VR, Flash games have a certain charm to them that I go back to them now. Riddle School, I always like those games. How long do I plan to stream? I'm just doing this until it feels like I've kind of gotten something out of it. Actually, I'm kind of I need a certain wholeness of connection to the channel today. There are times where I'm completely masked and playing on the channel, and then there's times where I'm completely myself on the channel. And it's one of those days where I just need to just feel connected because I've been inside and it's cold. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing here. You're really just watching me sit in a room and hang with chat. I don't know. And it's kind of fun because usually I'm on stream because I have a really big goal. Like, okay, we're gonna like get Moon Crew. We're gonna whatever. I don't care right now. Just whatever. We'll do that another time. I voice acted for an FPS VR game called Gunman Contracts. Also, hey, it's Neo. Hey, Neo. You're Neo? Neo's great. Neo's like one of our newest Discord members who's like a regular user, and I really fuck with Neo. You're cool. I don't know. Neo, are you older? Are you like almost 30? You have the energy of somebody who's not like a like 18-year-old who just joined the server. That might be why I kind of like you. It's nice to have people who are like just in their later 20s. It's mostly people in that. What? Well, you're really quite you know what? Actually, it's that I'm comparing you to somebody who was acting like a fifth grader, being an asshole. The snow has been here for fucking 3 weeks now. I know. Where are you, Stroomp? I forget. Tips for your Hinge. I used Hinge. I had like a hoe phase where I went on a lot of Hinge dates when I was about like 22, 23. This is my advice. Actually, I do have a Hinge advice. The minute that you change your profile from trying to look attractive or like a good partner or of course like sexy, whatever, to a fun time, I found that things changed for me. That immediately I was getting more matches and people like I changed my stuff from like here's good pictures of me to like here's me dancing, here's me having a good time with friends. Here's a video from the channel. Like for a while, I had like a video from the channel up, or two of them actually. That were just like me. One of them was a music video where I'm like dancing, and then the other one was me putting that photo in the Cracker Barrel. I put that at the very end as like a thing of like, look, I like to do fun things like this. And then of course, like one of the pictures can be like, oh, this is a nice picture of like a good looking person, whatever, your best flattering photo. But looking fun and having your prompts be fun, and maybe like one prompt being like, and like there's a nice with the prompts, especially on Hinge, I think there's a really important balance between like playful and like funny answers, and also like, no, like I'm looking for like whatever I'm looking for, whether it's a partner or whatever you're looking for, a hookup. I don't know what you're on Hinge for, but the minute I changed it, I don't even remember why. Maybe I just realized like, oh, I'm trying like really hard and like whatever. It's just a profile on the internet, so like you shouldn't be trying to get laid off your profile. You should be just showing like what you are. Did you include the picture of you sitting on the toilet? No, that's from last week. I actually haven't been. I went on one Hinge date in the last like 2 years. Pretty recently. It was just a first date. One of those first dates, one of those weird first dates where like, I like this person. See ya. Bye. We're good. Because it does occur to me whenever I, in the last 2 years, like try to date a little bit, I go, oh, I'm actually like not emotionally available that way. I'm trying really hard to some stuff. I mean, I moved here just so that I'm not sitting around all the time because for a while I was working with a company where I was going out for weekends, but then I get a couple weeks off, and I go out for a weekend and then get a couple weeks off, which actually kind of fucked my life up a little bit because it's like, great, you have free time, but No, nobody like me should have that kind of structure lacking in the things. Having something every week that you do, like going and working at a bar. You know what my fantasy is? This is my fantasy. Fucking, I would love to work at a bookstore on Monday and Tuesday, and then on Friday nights work at a bar and make like tips and stuff. Like, so like the Friday night, you're going to make like, I don't know, $200, $300. And then the bookstore, you just make like minimum wage probably, but it's just like 2 days to do a really, really physically not taxing job, but it's very like stimulating. And you're talking to people who are readers and you kind of get to see what they're reading and you're surrounded by books and you can, it's kind of intellectualized. And there's something in my life that's missed that because I've been only working in restaurants and stuff and like doing comedy clubs and things like that. And then to get away from that kind of up here place, go work in a bar for 1 or 2 days a week and just, really focus on like the social aspect. And like there used to be a bookstore right next to the bar that I work at. There still is. Right next to the bar I work at, there's a bookstore that I really love. And I always was like, oh man, if I could get a job there and work at the bar, that's like great. That'd be so cool. So I'm still thinking, I mean, I can't work at those now because they're both really far from where I live now, but it's still I do have this fantasy of like, wouldn't the perfect life be like all my free time is spent making things and working on my channel and my stand up. And, obviously I'd love for those things to generate my income and I'm working on that. But until then, a bookstore and a bar, like, wouldn't that be great? But it's kind of tough. It's actually really tough to get a job at a bookstore when you can't read. You could look like you would work on Wall Street. One quarter Zip Energy. Yeah, maybe. Unfriended Elvis Webb. Why do I have a crown now? I think that means you're the second most messages sent in this chat, I think. JC, would you be in an Unfriended threequel? No. I'm not a fan of those movies. I'm not a fan of movies that take place on computers, except for Searching. That was the only one where I was impressed by how much they got out of it. I'm not that interested in that. They're okay, Slop. I don't want to be. Call me pretentious, but I do really enjoy the kind of digital anonymity that I have in a way. The odd thing of like being completely disconnected from all mainstream media. That's why doing stand-up's kind of cool, and even doing theater is kind of cool, where it's like you get to be part of projects, but you're not like, I don't know. I wouldn't want to attach myself to anything in like a major media apparatus unless it was really in line with, I guess, what I already kind of do. Like, I don't see that like this guy, like this character, like, you know what I mean? Because it is fundamentally a persona. I mean, it's, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be like, oh, he's in a horror movie on the internet. I just don't see it. Unless I'd love, actually, it'd be really funny is to make a parody of one of those movies. But I'm not a filmmaker, fundamentally, I don't think. Sometimes I think of myself like a filmmaker because I make stuff in the visual, whatever, but I'm a little closer to like a cartoonist or, I mean, I'm a comedian. So it's a weird thing. And I've written some scripts and stuff, but I don't think I'm a long form filmmaker. Dude, this is dark web. But books have we read recently? I'm reading the Haney Beowulf, which I know scholars shit on, but loving this. And I said I was going to finish the stream with reading a section of this, and I will. There's a section of this that I picked up yesterday. I went, yeah, wow, I needed to hear that. There's advice given by Hrothgar to Beowulf that is so good and should be like, I was like, oh, I could end the channel with that, which I'm not gonna, because ending the channel is pretentious. That's never gonna happen. I'll be dead and it'll be like, I wonder when his next video is coming out. Oh my goodness, I started that, but then I started losing track of it. It's really good. Read it out loud, I found, because it's designed to be. Get drunk, have a beer, and read this out loud. Then you're living the truth of the way it was told. It's such an interesting thing because I've read a couple epic poems, but this is the only one that's definitely meant to be like told in a mead hall. It's really interesting when you think of it that way, and it makes it a lot less. It makes it more approachable. Where you're like, oh, and also my other thing I love about Beowulf is, and I don't know, this is something I noticed. And I suppose I read about, but there's a degree of every line in Beowulf has a first part and a second part. It goes like this and goes like that. It goes to and goes fro. So, I can go to the beginning. We're just being nerds right now, but whatever. something about reading it that way actually accentuates the meaning of the text, and I think Haney does a pretty good job of keeping that meaning in the sort of halves, because it's written that way. And even the original uh, Old English, you see that there's bada bada bada, break bada bada bada. There's a thing and then another thing. There's one thing, then another thing, which means that, I'm going to read it in English now. And when I read it this way, I find it really interesting. And it's interesting because this first line actually is a bit of its own preamble. So the Spear Danes in days gone by, that's kind of on its own. And then we have, and the kings who ruled them had courage and greatness. We have heard of these princes' heroic campaigns. There was shield chiefs and scourge of many tribes. You see what I mean? And it's weirdly like it almost sounds like Skyrim talk, but it because of that back and forth, I found that reading it out loud with that gave me meaning that maybe wouldn't have been as noticeable on a first read without it. And it's the same thing that I was really impressed with in Paradise Lost, my first time reading it, which I haven't read the whole thing, but I was like, this is like reading in 3D because there's this other element of verse. I've really gotten into epic poetry in the last year because it's so, when it's done right, there's such a depth of meaning because there's that verse element, and it can be used the same way that like a really good like lyric is. I mean, it's lyric. It's a song. It's kind of incredible. I love finding the rhythm in the way people create and write. It's so fun. Yeah, that too. Especially in stand-up comedians. There's stand-up comedians who I love it when I figure out, oh, that's how they're thinking about it. How are they doing that? Oh, that's how they're doing it. They're thinking this, there's a bit of a way. Have you tried reading House of Leaves? Yeah, I have a really cool House of Leaves reading experience because I read it when I was living in my childhood home. My parents and the rest of my family were in another town for most of the summer in this beach town in a sort of area that my parents have a retirement place that they just bought, and they were all there for the summer. My brother's a lifeguard, or was a lifeguard at the time. My sister, I think, was just she was waiting there. But my job was in my childhood hometown, so I was still, before we sold the childhood house, I was living alone at my house, and I was like a summer camp counselor. But anyway, so I would drive with the secondary car the family had to like work, and then I would go stay in the empty house, which was like pretty cool. You get like a house to yourself. That's great. I would love that. But I was like 19, I guess, going on 20, and all alone. I wasn't dating anybody. I had been the previous summer doing the same routine with living in that house, and parents were away and working that same job. It was 2 summers in a row that I did that. But the point is, I was reading House of Leaves in an empty house all alone. And my parents were getting renovations done before they sold the house. So they were like getting the floors done and a couple new paint jobs, things like that. So I would like go to school. I would go to camp. I would go to work at the summer camp. I would come back and the house would have changed because the workers had worked throughout the day. So like I was reading House of Leaves at night in like a dark, empty version of my childhood house. And I was coming home and the house was changing, which is what the book is about. It was so weird, and I didn't finish the book. I think I read about maybe like half of it. I loved it. I thought it was so scary. I know, isn't that crazy? So resonant. Rogue Brother was a lifeguard. That's really cool. That you just referenced that. Yeah, I'm actually gonna release a version of Kyle that's just played on guitar because I think it could be just simpler and just do whatever. And I have another version. How do I come up with my videos? I have a lot of apparatus now for how I do it. If you right now put a gun to my head and said, make a video, I could do it. And that's the problem, is that like, I should, I should make a video today, but I think I'm coming out of a stretch of a couple of months that were pretty challenging. And I want to make sure that, just like I'm making videos from a healthy place, because I want to keep making videos. I don't see myself ever stopping. They're a very good way to quickly and simply get an idea out there. It's very cathartic. My way of doing it, I have so many ways. Sometimes it's as simple as turn the camera on and try and come up with something that makes me laugh. And then sometimes it's as complex as, oh, I have this idea that's kind of funny. How do I turn that into something visual? Sometimes it's what would get people to click on the video, and then can I turn that into something worth clicking on? And sometimes it's what's the most outrageous thing? What's the perfect worst video I can make? Like the video of me with the knee is my attempt to make like the best thing I can make. Like so detached from trying to be funny, detached from trying to even perform. A lot of that video is edited intentionally to keep me away from the camera, and you're watching me and I'm not very aware of the camera being there. and pieces of time where I'm forgetting the camera's there, which is really cool to have that on footage for me. I took so much footage for that video. There's like 5 hours of camera footage from the knee video, and most of it's really boring. And the stuff that's even in the video is kind of boring. But if you want to see me, boy, it's kind of cool to have a document of what you're doing when you're like totally not watching yourself. Like at the end of the video, when I'm like, I'm procrastinating, what am I procrastinating? And I make a list of like, what am I procrastinating? And then I like am in this chair and I'm like, just like totally like zoned out and like almost like overwhelmed. And you can actually see on that board behind me that I'm procrastinating making a list of things I'm procrastinating. I found that in the footage and realized that happened because I had the footage of it. I wouldn't have known that about myself, that I wrote that list and then I went like, look at that. So that was really cool. But then I made a video that is the worst video I could make, which is a picture of me taking a shit. So that's how I do it. And it's all, there can never be one way, and there can never be a way to do something twice, really. I mean, there's ways in that consistently work. Sometimes I think, okay, like hook, door, notion, explosion. Those are like the 4 things that make like a good video. Is like there's something that hooks you, then there's like a surprising way we get into the thing that's funny. Like I always use the example, take my wife, please, is like a famous joke, and fucking like the comma before please is the door. That's what a door means in that case. Anyway, so there's the door, and then there's the notion, which is like, oh, the funny thing, like, oh, it's funny that the guy hates his wife. And then explosion is that the joke, somehow reaches its like fullest, whatever. And I'm still at a point where like I want all my jokes to like follow that pattern and like fully exist. And it doesn't have to be in that order. It doesn't have to be long-winded. It can be, I mean, I Walk to Burger King has a hook, a door, a notion, and an explosion there, and that all happened like really quickly. And that's all. Previously it was all instinct, and it should continue to be instinct, but there's a degree of there's like a degree of, I lost my train of thought because I saw a comment. What was I saying? Sorry, guys. Hook, door, notion, explosion. Sometimes if I want to come up with a video, I'll go and I'll write on my whiteboard, hook, door, notion, explosion, and I'll just write hooks. What would get people to click? What would make people interested if it was something they were scrolling and seeing on Reels? And then, okay, write just doors. Like, okay, I could take off my shirt and something is under the shirt. I could open my door and something's behind it. I could have it be like the video ends like I did in that. Actually, that video where it's like this video will explode? That was a video where I was like, okay, what could an explosion be? Well, what if the video explodes at the end? And so, okay, well, how do you get there and still qualify as a hook, a door, a notion, and explosion? So it's like the hook is, don't click this video, it'll explode. Okay, and then people clicked it. It was a very clicked video because that's a hook in a way. And then the door is that there's 2 doors. You think that it's going to be the first picture of the explosion meme, then it stays, and then there's another door of you think the video's ended, and then there's the explosion. So that's the door. And then the notion is actually the weakest thing in that video. The notion is just stupid. Yeah, I unlisted it just because, but everything that's unlisted is available on the Discord. A lot of talking from me, but that's okay, and that's what we're doing here. Yeah, the explosion one's cool because I showed it to a friend of mine, and he just pointed to the screen, and he laughed, and he goes, that, and I got him to just do that, and I was like, that's a very animalistic response. That's cool. He goes, that. I was like, okay, that's what you want. I believe I'm still learning the way of doing this. It's really fun. It's a great game. I write bits for myself. Like I wrote a joke the other day, and I already forget what it was. It's written somewhere in my set. And I got up out of my chair, and I was like, I love this game. I love coming up with jokes. I'll tell you the joke. I'll find it. Oh, I loved it. All right, here's the joke. Can I tell you guys this joke? Maybe I shouldn't. No, I should. All right, here's the joke. So the reason I was thinking about this, why are men afraid to be gay? Not just, not gay, but afraid. And I looked into it, and back in the pre-romantic times, before people married for love, you would marry aromantically, and then you'd fuck some guys on the side. And that wasn't weird because whatever. So it's not, a romantic problem. Then we entered the romantic period of time. Whenever that happens, I don't know when. and we're talking about the Western world a little bit here. And this is the longest version of the joke. Sorry about that, because I'm just explaining it. So now, you're with your woman, and it's romantic. So you can no longer go and just fuck some guys because that would betray the romance, right? So the reason men are scared to be gay is because they're scared of her. Put it another way, the reason men are afraid to be gay, right, is because ladies want to be all romantic. That's what I have so far of that. I really like it. I really like it. But it's not done, obviously. That's very notion right now. Yeah, I think it's on its way to making sense. Yeah, it has legs. Men are scared straight. I like the idea of like men are scared to be gay because they're scared of their woman. There's something in that for me. Anyway, youthful porpoise. Youthful porpoise? Do you have any advice to not impulsively check analytics? What do you make, Zuko? Like, what kind of videos do you make? Because that changes it, in my opinion. Oh, that was that Norm Macdonald bit. Oh, my favorite Norm bit is I love when he goes, "I remember a simpler era, a more innocent time, when the worst thing you'd hear about on the news was hijacked jetliners crashing into buildings." My process for writing songs has changed over time. I think coming up with, what, for me, it's like a very heady thing of like, oh wow, I have a song stuck in my head that doesn't exist. That's how I write songs, probably. And then from there, it's like you have something to start from. I don't know. Love you, JC. You inspire me a lot, and can't wait to meet you in your 40s when you least expect it. Wow, we're gonna meet in my 40s. Are we in a Hallmark movie? Unrelated. Mania Mint, Judge, PFP. That's cool. This is an interesting stream. It's an interesting time in my life where I think at 27, actually, this is going to be dark, but I was just thinking today, I was like, oh, I get why people who are like famous kill themselves at 27. Because this is not for the darkness, but like, it does feel like, 20 to 27, you're like, wow, new, everything's crazy. And then at 27, I'm like, damn, like, ugh, I'm still like young. You're telling me I'm still young. I don't believe you. This feels like Jesus. You're telling me life goes on after this? This has been a lot, especially for like, I don't know if I feel like I've been through a lot. And imagine somebody who's like, a Hendrix or a Kurt Cobain at 27, like how much they've been through. It's crazy. And if you can make it to 28, I hope that you suddenly go, oh, this is like life. Oh, thank goodness. Because sometimes I have to remind myself, I'm like, this has all been one life. I feel like a lot of different people sometimes, but it's like, no, I'm still just this one guy. It's like, wow, there's a lot going on. Imagine that there's 8 billion of us on this planet. It's like hard to wrap your head around. Nope, thought the same too. 27 is either great or horrible. I've really enjoyed, I feel like I've entered into a new phase of freedom emotionally where I'm like, I can tell anybody anything as long as it's true, and as long as it's made to make sense. And I think I used to feel this need of like, oh, people, I don't want people to know that, or it's like, I don't mind now. And there's things that I would consider like, oh, I don't really like put those things front. No, it's like, how do I put this? You put things front facing because they are. And it used to be I'd put things front facing because I wanted them front facing, where it's like, oh, I want people to think this about me. And now I'm like, just whatever's in the front is probably there for a reason. I don't know. I don't care anymore. It's a nice feeling. It's really nice. You're right. 2010 was 16 years ago, but you know what? I think we're probably better off that we're not living in 2010. That's why drugs are scary, because you wonder, is this it? Where you're like, oh, this is like, well, the thing about drugs is it's an empty kind of feeling. Like, sure, you have some kind of chemical, signal, but it doesn't really mean what it's saying it means. Not really. It's the same reason that people are like, oh, these evil fascists, they like are so happy and they like get away with it. I'm like, no, they don't. I mean, they're. Do you know how different it is to be happy for like good reasons versus being like a shitty person? Like, even if like I don't know, Donald Trump is like the happiest person, which he's not, by the way. Even if he were, doesn't hold a candle to actually being compassionate. So just worth remembering. It's a silver lining to evil. I was 4 in 2010, so that doesn't register as anything for me. That's cool. Yeah, I was 11, I guess, in 6th grade. I mostly remember the mid 2010s, but when it comes to like aesthetic and vibe, I prefer the early 2010s. Yeah, I agree. I think that the mid 2010s, kind of 2014 on, I'm looking forward to some kind of. I feel like right now we're still so early in the history of this kind of internet interconnection and media that we need more data. We are the ancients, you understand. Like, people could watch this stream and be like, oh, look at these poor fucks, like trying to understand what they're in. We are fish that are in water, and we're the first fish. So like we really don't know what the ocean is and how it works on our brains and our societies. And that's why it feels like a collective psychosis is going on, because there's this new thing. And then add artificial intelligence, and that we can now summon language and imagery completely without human effort. That adds another layer of hallucination. It's all very easy to see. We all see a lot more than we used to, and I think we're learning that we didn't evolve for that. We didn't evolve. Like, I shouldn't really know. Like, I shouldn't know what's in the Epstein files. Like, I should, right? But should I? Like, that's, I think, the moral question of our times. And I don't know. History is yesterday is now. So strange realizing we are just history. Yeah, well, especially because it feels like the internet is an arrival. This era feels like the last 30 years feel like we've arrived at postmodernism. We've arrived at, but absolutely not. We are ancients. And I think about it all the time. In fact, sometimes I'm walking down the street, especially here in New York, and I look at these buildings, these really tall buildings. Some of them are going to be there for 1,000 years, as long as nothing bad happens or whatever. The Empire State Building is supposed to stand for, if you were to leave it alone, I looked into this, the Empire State Building would stand for 1,000 years. And I think that's just, it's like interesting to go, oh, like I'm alive when the Statue of Liberty is only so old. The Empire State Building is less than 100 years old. Just worth remembering. If we're in a new ocean, it definitely has horse crabs. Yeah. Damn, you really watch the channel. Would you adopt a Xoloitzcuintli? I don't know. Is that a young man from Bangladesh? I was going to reference a bit, but I'm not going to. I'm 29, and even though it's an arbitrary line, 30 feels like a deadline for me to get my act together, because I feel like I have a list of bad habits that I want to shake off. Dude, I'm 27 and I feel the same way. At 26 and a half, I started like a practice towards like living like I was 27, and now I'm 27 and I'm about where I'd want to be. Yeah, I'm scared of 30, but it's weird. I have a friend who turned 30 pretty recently, and he was like, you just wake up and it's the next day. It's okay. Hank Greed has a really good comparison comparing the internet now to the invention of the printing press. I agree. We live in cyberpunk, but without any cool shit. Yeah. The thought of flying cars is ridiculous to me now. Yeah. I mean, if there were flying cars, I mean, can you imagine DUIs? You'd be in court. So you were how many feet in the air and how many drinks in? Bro, your door is open. It sounds like it, but it's just, I live next to a fire department. It'll stop in a sec. Sorry about that. Oh, this door. Yeah, my closet door. Actually, the bottom hinge got messed up today. I can't get it to go all the way back in. So whatever. It's my closet, though. 1 sec. This car's going to go by. Do I feel pressure to get married, or will I take my own path? I'm at a point where I don't feel pressure to get married. No, I don't. I could see myself getting married for sure. Um, but I don't feel pressure. No. I think also that the last actually, it was funny. 3 years ago today, I finished a contract. 3 years and one day. It was February 6th, 2023. So 3 years ago, I got off a cruise ship that I worked on for about 6 months, and that kind of changed me. Um, I got to see a lot of the world. I got to learn the kind of workplace I might thrive in and not thrive in, which is like I'm not great on a cruise ship. It's hard. It's a hard life. Um, I can start a fire whenever I want. I know, but because of where I'm at, I'm mostly curious to see, okay, how much can I develop what I do here, and my you know my work as a person on my own for now is really important to me. I could see myself dating this year. I need to get like my room's officially not like nice enough now. Like I got furniture and stuff that I could like bring a person home here and it wouldn't be embarrassing. But for a while it was not great. And where I used to live, forget it. So that's good. But I need to get a consistent schedule and feel one with the creative stuff right now. I feel a weird sense of I'm kind of pushed and pulled in a lot of directions. And I just need to be one with it. Just like um let it be what it is. And it's a good thing. Like for a while I was really one with uh working on these bigger projects. And now some of those projects have kept going, some of them are gone, some of them turned into other things. I don't know. But yeah, I can't really be with somebody right now because I'm pretty preoccupied. But I would get married. It'd be nice. It'd be nice to have I'd love like a 2 bedroom apartment with a partner, and both of us have our like things we like to do and our kind of separate spaces, and maybe like each of us kind of has like kind of an office in our room. And I'm describing being roommates with like a girlfriend, I guess. But no, like space is important. Do you think the obligation Shit, center like, no, you got it. I've been in so many long distance relationships. I can't believe I got into another one. But I hold out hope that we can live together sometime in the next few years. Yeah, I would like to. It would be a good goal by 30 to like be moving towards living with a partner. That seems reasonable. Seems like something that could happen. And timeline wise, pretty fair. But right now, my big thing is separating what I actually should or need to do as a person from the stuff that's like I'm just pretending I need to do or like think I need to do. Like I don't know. Like it's not clear to me. Like should I try to get famous? Should I try to become a comic in clubs as my job? Because that now seems like something I'm capable of in the last couple of like in past like a year. I've moved towards like being like, oh, okay, I could actually, I got a good mentor. I feel good about my progression, and it's like, oh, I could move towards being a club comic. But is that what I want? I really like alternative comedy on the internet, and if I'm going to do stand up, I'd rather do it for you guys. Like I'd like to tour. By the way, I want to do a tour of like small spaces and just invite the channel. Um, like just free shows, like on the East Coast probably, and maybe do like, I guess I could like maybe see if I could go to LA and like maybe Chicago, maybe Dallas, like places with just like a lot of people living there, and it's like okay, like 20 people would show up and just do stand up for you guys. It'd be really fun, which I thought could happen pretty soon. It could, but I'm also working on this album and I'm working on all this other stuff, and it's like comes back to the question, what do I do? You could even sleep together in a full twin if you tried hard enough, I think. I don't think anybody should be rushing into a relationship as a milestone unless it's something you really want, right? Like, sorry for the so many sirens. I was saying this earlier, but how are there fires today? It's 10 degrees outside. I've always had faith you would be a good comedian if you like that route. I also think this channel has more potential. I think so too. You could even sleep together in a full time. Read that. Ooh, that could be fun. Dallas is fun. I do like Dallas. I don't think anybody should be. Yes, read that. No need. Long distance never worked for me either, dude. She got to be next door. I really like when I date someone to like see them every day. It's really nice. Like I love like dating somebody who like went to the same college as me. I love dating somebody who, I mean, I lived with a girlfriend for like a month one time just because like I stayed over at her place a bunch like a broke motherfucker. That wasn't why though. It wasn't a problem. It was COVID. And so everybody was like hunkered down. It's like, well, we're going to hang out together and date. Um, and actually, I had a really nice time doing that. And then it didn't go anywhere good because, of course, like pandemic dating went really nowhere. I want to make scrolls as a hobby. My boyfriend lives literally a 4-minute walk away. That's so sweet. Do you live in like a little elf village? I'm gonna go see my boyfriend. Fire's like oxygen. The forecast in New York says there will be oxygen all next week. You're right. Birds. Yeah, I don't know. But I agree with the person who said that like the channel has more potential than just like, hello everyone, I'm a stand-up club comic. That's not, there's more to it than that for me. There's more to life than that. And I know a lot of people who do club comedy who are really talented and find the full breadth in that. But you know, I love music and I love sketches. I love acting. So I don't know. One thing that I've been really, really taking like solace in is this idea of like you don't have to do anything like anyone else, especially in creative stuff. And the other thing that's really funny is that when you do comedy, especially stand up, but any kind of comedy, everyone has equal rights to say whether or not they like what you're doing. If you're a ballerina and you go on stage and perform ballet and you're really technically proficient and you're good, it's going to take like a real expert in ballet to like go, well, okay, I see the nuance and the granular aspects of this person's craft, and here's what they're really good at, and here's what maybe they should work on. Like, you don't have that in comedy at all. Someone who's never been to a comedy show can walk into a comedy show and go, this sucks. And they're right, because it probably does. It's probably terrible. But I think it's interesting how much feedback you get in comedy, and you do have to remember the reason it feels like just it's coming from all sides, and you're like, Jesus, but it's because you're in the middle of everything. You've put yourself in the center of everything. You're doing something that maybe you've forgotten is a little bit cool and brave or whatever. You know, true, comedy has exploded recently, so there's a lot more eyes on it, which is good and bad. Stand up is in a growing pains, and it's do I want to go down this rabbit hole? Is this interesting? Here's looking into the history of comedy. And I'm in the, I'm in the middle of a caffeine crash, so I'm gonna have to relax and just tell you this. Okay, there was a stand-up comedian named Frank Fay. He worked in the 1920s, and he was a vaudeville comedian who then started going on stage in vaudeville without props, without costumes, talking normally. He didn't invent stand-up, but he did professionalize the stand-up comedian, and everybody from Milton Berle to all those people who would later kind of originate what becomes the Johnny Carson guest comedian, that becomes the 80s brick wall, comedian, that becomes what we have now. The idea of what a comic is comes from Frank Fay, especially in the male kind of whatever. He's just like a white dude in a suit on stage going, let me tell you about what I saw today. Here's whatever. Here's the thing. Frank Fay was a Nazi. He was like an actual American Nazi. He was a fascist through and through. And how do I want to tell this story? Basically, okay, so that's Frank Fay, right? In 1948, World War II is over, but at Madison Square Garden, there's a rally for the Ku Klux Klan and Nazi Party of America. There's a really good micro documentary about it out there. A lot of people know about it now because it's been more publicized in the last few years because it's horrifying. It's like a white supremacist rally in Madison Square Garden in 1948. And it's weird because you look at the Trump Madison Square Garden rally, Tony Hinchcliffe, right? comedian brought there to tell jokes that were just like, not even his own jokes. Some of them were stolen from Kill Tony contestants that were like calling Puerto Rico an island of trash, black people eat watermelons, just racist jokes, just practically street jokes being told to an audience at a political rally. And it harkens back to this night at the Garden in 1948. And this is what I love to tell this story, because do you know who sponsored and created and put together the 1948 Nazi Party rally? Frank Fay. So as much as we like to talk about comedy speaking truth to power and all this stuff of Carlin, Pryor, all that, whatever, it has just as much history in the United States as being used for the powers that be. And you can look at minstrel, blackface comedy. You can look at all that stuff. And I think that the Frank Fay thing really blew a lot open for me. And I went, that's what this shit is. It's that. So what you're saying is, to make it in comedy, you got to be racist. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. JC, I've been meaning to ask, do you want to be on my Tamagotchi Life Island? Merchant 271. That's the response I had when there's a really good podcast called Behind the Bastards that talks about Frank Fay. Really interesting, because he was really talented. Apparently, he's very good, and it's where you get like the roast comedy. It's where you get all this kind of misogynistic, hateful. And here's the thing. Really good comedy is not necessarily like moralized. In fact, mostly it's not. Like my favorite comedians, one of my favorite comedians is Patrice O'Neal, who never really focuses on morality, focuses on the truth of something, I guess. And I'm sorry for talking so much about comedy without being funny right now, but I think it's culturally, the Frank Fay thing was really interesting to me. Anyway, it's absolutely got to do with anti-intellectual takes of it. Well, that's the other thing. Yeah, you can like get away with you can get jokes, get away with truth. But if that truth is your hate, then you have a problem. Reposting Merchant 271's question, do you think the obligation of an audience keeps you productive? Yeah, but I also think I feel like I'm in a state of rebellion recently, not towards in any personal way towards the audience, but the sense of the part of me that's like, hello, I want to be a performer. And I've been feeling a rebellion in myself against that, not because that part of me is a bad person or anything, but because I'm just curious to see what I can make outside of that. And Patrice, actually, funny you mentioned Patrice. Patrice is part of the reason of that, because Patrice strikes a really good balance between being an entertainer and a dude doing it for himself. And yeah, Patrice and Joan Rivers are like my real stand-up idols right now. I'm taking so much from both of them. I feel like I've gotten a lot better from watching them. And also my very good friend Gray West has given me some really good help. He's a really talented host at The Cellar, who's also just a really nice friend. When you say something serious and go on a 2-minute speech and end it with saying duty, so we're not so serious. That's the other thing about streaming, is that one of the problems I have with comedy culture is that there is this thing of like, you're just like never allowed to just fucking talk. I'm not trying to be funny right now. And I know there's people who are like, oh, fuck you. And the thing is that I remember when I started the channel, I had this idea of like, I'll make like 90% of my content will be funny, and then 10% will be this cool off of like, all right, but anyway, whatever. This is, healing from my knee, or I'm singing some music, or just something to just bring it back. Because if you're always, whatever, you'll actually irony poison eventually, which I've had that happen in the channel's history. Is there's been times where I'm like, I'm irony poison. I can think of even like a recent time. Like I would say like, world's best pussy, like that bit. I took it down because it did well. People liked it, but it's like, I don't know. Nah, that's pretty funny. My grandma called me and she was like, 5 different friends of mine saw your video about world's best pussy. And they were like, why would I watch this? And I was like, why would I give a fuck? You're 80. Josh Johnson is the only stand-up guy who I know who can actually be serious on stage while keeping the tone comedic. Yeah, he's really talented. And he's really, just really smart. Not the grandma call. Yeah. I'm going to take your response to my Tamagotchi question as a no. I don't know Tamagotchi at all. Actually, I missed it. Frank Fay, did he get an episode of his own, or was he covered? No, he was covered on his own, but it was pretty recent. I think in the last year. I really like the Steve Jobs episode too. You know what's been a thing for me lately? I'm so into Steve Wozniak. I'm watching interviews with Steve Wozniak all the time, and it's making me so happy because he's so playful and he's so nice. And it's like soothing. Any tips for getting into theater? Really want to get into it while in school, but never got around to it. Frankly, I don't know where to start. Firstly, where do you live? Because that'll change it. What? Steve Jobs an asshole? No. Why am I pink now? Oh yeah, I guess the sun's kind of gone down, and I have my green and pink lights on. How did my grandma's friends see the video? I just think my grandma probably brags about the channel to them, and she shouldn't have. I agree. BlackBerry is a really, really good one. You know why I like BlackBerry? It's a parody of a tech biopic. Like at the end of like they're geniuses, but then it's like no, they're not. At the end of the movie, when they try and go pitch their iPhone killer, and it just they don't have it. It's like a nice. There's some parody of like that classic trope of and then they went and they pitched the iPhone and they were geniuses and whatever. It feels like it's a movie about like okay, in real life though, like even the people who make those brilliant devices have like their foibles, and a lot of the technical process is failure. And even people who invented the BlackBerry that like made billions of dollars or whatever, even they eventually hit their limitations. Oh man, I met Matt Johnson. He was so cool. We talked about the Epic of Gilgamesh. So sick. And that boy, Nirvana the band, the movie is so much. Oh man, it's funny. I forgot that foibles was a word. That's really funny. I'm in North Carolina, so not really. Are you in Raleigh? Raleigh's good. Yeah, I would do community theater. Just go out and do it. Yeah. Go. Oh, great. Yeah. Raleigh 100% has like good community theater. Don't worry about anything other than just like enjoying the process of like being involved in a show. I'm sure that Raleigh's a great town for that. I'm going to go watch the theatrical release. I watched it twice at South by Southwest. I would love to take my family to see it. I think they really like it. Man, I had a good time. I think I said this already, but Stavros Halkias was at the screening of mine. It was like a big, just like preview. And boy, he laughs a lot. I tried to outlaugh Stavros and I couldn't do it. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to try. Because I heard him at the beginning of the movie, like laughing just at everything. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to laugh harder than Stavros and at more stuff. And I failed. I couldn't do it. He like found more things funny than me. It's like a great sense of humor. My friend's mom had the 2007 BlackBerry phone until like 2018. I have like 2 copies on standby. Oh yeah, Gilgamesh is great. You know what's really dope? There was a translation that I don't have anymore. I think it's back at my parents' house. The translation of Gilgamesh done by some guy, I don't know his name. And he finished translating Gilgamesh, which was like this 10-year process of his version of the tablets. And then he submitted it for his publisher's approval. And then about like a week later, he died in a motorcycle crash. So if you read his translation, you're reading the translation of Gilgamesh, which is a story about a guy who finds out his mortality and sees the man who saw the deep is like the original name of the poem. He saw the deep. You're reading it from a man who's like also like the poem almost takes him to his death. Like it's really, really resonantly weird. Very interesting. Yeah, no kidding. Have you ever been to a proper frozen yogurt store with all the stuff? Yeah, I have. It's okay. There's a lot of them in New York City. I don't tend to go for yogurt over ice cream. My high school history teacher looked like Gilgamesh. Yeah. He's a cool looking guy. Oh, good to hear. Yeah. This stream is so fucking weird. I'm so used to like, I'm not here for any reason. I'm just here. It's a good thing, but it's a little trippy to the brain. Can we get a tour of your wall? Yeah. This is my wall. Right now, there's very little on the whiteboard. There's like some goals. There's 2 projects that are written. I wrote down the goal that I want to get the channel. Right now, the channel makes me like $300 a month, and I'd love for it to make me $1,000 a month if I could through any form of monetization that I can. Because, I mean, I'd like to work on the channel all the time and just be working on videos, and then have my survival job be for the sake of making maybe a little more money and making mostly the social aspect. Like you should be out in the world. I've learned, like, I really like working in bars and whatever. And, I'm at a point now where I feel so creatively nourished is what's really cool. I know I haven't been making videos, but I've written like so much stand-up material, and I found a new kind of way to write material, and it's so much more easy for me now. And it's just like, oh, cool. I could like write a lot of material now and like find my way into things. It doesn't hurt as much to like spend time around the things that aren't funny. It used to be like, oh, I'm not funny right now and I'm writing. Now I don't care. I'm like, failure is the road. It's okay. And then if I come up with one funny line in a session, I go, great, cool. And usually that leads to another because it's about the lines. That's the thing I learned from my stand-up mentor. Don't write jokes. Don't worry about being funny. Write laughs. Write a laugh line. What you say it and they laugh because it's funny. It's that simple. And I used to be very, grandiose about it. Start posting YouTube shorts, LMAO. I will say I considered I should just take every video and just have it posted to shorts, right? Like I should just do that, but I don't know. I think YouTube shorts would go against the style. I agree. That's my only problem with it, which is why I do post on Instagram. And I don't know, I'm not going to do it now because TikTok is, owned by Larry Ellison and Oracle. But I do think that, there's been a way to put my stuff in the format of shorts while keeping it in its style, which is the best way to do it is to show the title of the video under it and have it be like, oh, you're watching a YouTube video, but on Reels or whatever. The point of long form is that the title is the door, like you said. Yeah. But, there's ways to get around that. I'm British, and what I miss the most from the 2010s were these 150-gram chocolate bars. There were only 50 pence. I ate way too many of them. That's funny. So, I just thought this was like a British man in chat reminiscing about chocolate. That was my laugh of the day. That would make me really laugh. Wow. Anyway, somebody clip that. Can you guys clip that? Can you clip on here? I don't even know. Yeah, so Merchant 271, you have a point where it would go against the style. But if you put it in the format, I did just actually schedule some reels to post because I have 220 videos. There's a part of me that's like, why am I worried about making more? Like, I think people get the point now. I'm retarded. Anyway, did you get the golden ticket too? No, I didn't. Yeah, you could easily snip some vids into shorts. It wasn't funny until you pointed it out. Now it's really funny. It just hit me the right way. I'm British. What I miss about the most from the 2010s was these 150-gram chocolate bars. They're only 50 pence. I ate way too many of them. Okay. I imagined it as that British guy from Mad Men. You ever see that guy? He talks like this. He says, hello, my name is Nigel. Anyway. I wonder, actually, it would be interesting. Do you know what would be interesting? Should talk like I'm Australian for the longest time I can. I'm not very good at it. Nope. But we should see if I can convince someone in the chat who joins that I am in Australia. I'm in Australia right now. Let's see if we can convince someone that I'm in Australia and I'm Australian. Let's change it a bit. Let's see if we can do it. Ask me questions about living in Australia. The problem is we can't tell if no one's going to come in and be like, wow, this guy's from Australia. He really tricked me because they're just going to think I'm from Australia. It's not a good accent. It's really not. It's really quite bad. Australian Jordan Peterson. I only eat kangaroo. I don't have anything for that. I'm definitely not in like a riff mindset right now. Where's your fucking... Also, to be fair, riffing on someone else's like, hey, give us Australian Jordan. Like, I don't know. I didn't come up with it. You do it. You fucking be Australian Jordan Peterson. Where's your fucking liar? Hello, welcome to the JC Foster stream. It's so bad. It's really, really bad. I'm not even Australian, and I can tell. What part of Sydney do you live in there, mate? I live in Brisbane, actually, and I live in South Brisbane. I don't know a single thing about Brisbane. I gotta lock my doors to keep the fucking roos out. My favorite clip of Steve Irwin is when he's talking about money. He goes, I love money. I love it. More money, I can buy more land for more wildlife. I love it. I love wildlife money. I've noticed I can't tell when American accent impressions are bad and I'm American. That's because, and it's really bad right now because I'm trying to read someone else's words. I'm gonna go back to American. I think it's because we don't assume anybody's doing an American dialect, and America's big enough that like a weird American dialect is like, oh, there must just be from another state or something. Like we just don't notice it the same way. But I do think it's interesting. Okay, so best American accents I've ever heard in like anything are Sarah Snook and Matthew Macfadyen on Succession. You would never know. Fucking, you would never know that they're not American. It's incredible. They're neither of them American. One, I think, Australian and British, pretty sure. Anyway, and they are so good at their American accents, but when you hear it like once or twice in the whole show, like really, really rarely. I can tell you, I've watched too much Succession, but Sarah Snook has there's times where they break it, but it doesn't matter because the character could have said it that, like, there's just a little thing. At one point, when they're talking about their marriage on season 2, episode 10, Sarah Snook, Shiv goes, "Oh, you've been mulling that over, haven't you?" And Tom turns and goes, "Why, yes, Siobhan, I have been mulling that over." He says "been." And I'm like, "Ah!" But you never would notice. Ever. But I watched the show so much that it's like, wait a minute. And because I've heard them speak as themselves a little bit, if I didn't know, I'd never notice. Same thing with so Sarah Snook has one in the second episode of the whole show, and I noticed it just recently. I was like, I've seen the episode a million times. Like, oh wait a minute, she totally just did like a whatever. I forget what it was. Hers is really small. Sorry, I got a fire thing. But can I give you my favorite one? Okay, you're right. It's House. You're right. I want to do I've always wanted to do a stand-up set where I go on and I'm like, hello everyone, my name is JC Forster and I'm a close-up magician. Can anyone come on stage with it? I'm just kidding, I'm an American or whatever, like something like that. Like really, and then just be like, I just like starting the set in a way where you're just like as disappointed as quickly as possible. You know, an Australian magician. But getting them to believe it would be the hard part. Nicole Watterson from Tawag. Will Graham on Hannibal is an example of one that sounds good if you don't know. Right. Okay, here's my other one. You guys seen the movie Zero Dark 30? There's a guy who plays an American CIA guy in that. And he also, I forget his name. He's in a bunch of stuff. Anyway, he's British or something. And because he's a good British actor who does an American accent, his impulse, since he's good at it, is to always say an R, never R. Always say R. So so at one point he's saying, "Yeah, I saw him. Yeah, I saw him." But because in his brain and in the simplicity of doing a dialect is just a set of rules, kind of, that you really get into your body, he won't let himself go, "Yeah, I saw it," because that would be like, you have to R. So he goes, "Yeah, I saw it. Saw it. Yeah, I saw it." And he does it twice in the movie, actually. And you're like, interesting. And again, you wouldn't notice it, but when you know that he's a British person doing an American accent, you go, oh, it's because his process for doing the American accent, it does have a use case here that's actually wrong. It's so interesting to me. Anyway, favorite Pokemon? I fuck with Squirtle. I really do. I have the opposite problem. I've got a mild Australian accent from Melbourne and don't sound appropriately awkward for Americans, and they get disappointed I don't sound like Crocodile Dundee. That's the other thing is like there's a lot of people. I really like a YouTuber named Matt Orchard who does true crime, and he's New Zealand, or he's a Kiwi, and his dialect is certainly a Kiwi accent, but it's not like, he actually sounds American at times. To be fair, older Americans could do that sometimes. Sure, yeah. Q-Bar. There is like, yeah, I saw him, but this is a guy playing an American in like the 2000s, like a guy could be from, I don't know, Kentucky, maybe. Actually, he's a little more broadly American than that. I wonder where the character's supposed to be from. Could be Cali, actually. I think he's a Cali kind of American accent. Keegan-Michael Key has really good accents in Key and Peele. He's very talented. There are some people who actually have become Americanized by being on the internet a lot. True. That is true. It's kind of like how when you listen to the Beatles, you're like, oh, where did the accents go? You know, they don't sound, because they're trying to sing like black people. I mean, really, that's actually what's going on. True. Well, Tom Holland's accent, when he does an American accent, is so neutral that you're like, oh, it's an American. That's the other thing, is when someone has a perfect neutral American accent, you can kind of go, oh, like they're not from anywhere. Like you kind of do need to be like, oh, they're like, my accent's Mid-Atlantic, where you have degrees of, and right now I'm a little bit less Mid-Atlantic because I'm on the internet. Like I have so many accents. We all do. That's the other thing, is I hate this. Like, isn't it fucking weird when you meet somebody who has no code switch in them, like none, and it's like, damn, you talk like this around everybody, whatever way it is. I don't care what it is. I don't care. I have a friend who's as white and waspy as you can be, no code switch, ever. And it's like, really? Ever? And then same thing happens on the other spectrum of like, there's people who I know, and to be fair, I don't blame people of color for not code switching much more than I'm like, if you're white and you only talk like a white person, like cracker, like what are you doing? Anyway, I have a friend who talks like really weird stereotypical New York, and they say it's from watching a lot of YouTube, and I don't have the courage to say that they're fucking lying. That's really funny. I the other day, speaking of like stereotypical New York, I was on the subway, and I'm looking out the subway window onto the platform as we come into a station, and there's two women police officers like really laughing it up, like they were just like, I don't know, who knows what they were talking about. But anyway, they're like, whatever. And then the door opens, and all I hear is exactly this. I hear, doors opening, you know? Like, I don't know. It was so weird. It was like, you know? No, it was so nasally. Like, you know? It's really weird. It's one of those things where like, that can't really be a thing that's funny to other people, but it was really funny in the moment. In Dallas, a guy brought up the Joyzy bit when I mentioned it from, you see? Yeah, it was that. That's why it was funny to me. Like two NYPD like women cops were like, meh. I don't know about anything other than I sound a bit Costanza-ish when I get mad. Sorry for so many fire trucks today. Wow. Nar. A guy brought up the Joyzy bit when I mentioned I'm from New Jersey, and I've never heard it before. You've never heard the people say Joyzy? Huh. They don't really. I have a pretty neutral accent. I believe that. Apartment's burning down again. The Inspector Gadget agent. Accent. Accent. Yeah, nobody says that, only as a joke. Yeah. It is funny. You meet people who have some of these dialects for real, and you're like, wow, you are interesting. My accent is Southern English. Nice. I do like that one. I think I have a friend who has that. I had a friend who was Northern England, and I couldn't mimic her accent for my life. It was so complex and beautiful. I used to work with a guy who grew up in Jersey but sounded exactly like a stereotypical Californian. That's the other thing, is in the global era, people can just pick like somebody that they want to sound like and sound like them, which I have a couple. There's a couple where I'm like, oh, that's probably where I'm getting that from. Also actor neutral. Like I talk in actor neutral. Although there's definitely things about my accent that are, you can hear the Mid-Atlantic come out. Like even the way I just said Mid-Atlantic, Maryland. I'm definitely from Maryland. You can like, definitely, there's pieces of my dialect where you can tell, especially when I go back to Maryland, it comes out so much more, like right here. It's actually really nice to talk in a Maryland dialect because it's a little more at the front of the mouth. I mean, that's me trying mouth. I don't talk like that. But if I was to let go, this is where it would be. Like it's right in the front, and it's, you know, it's like right here, and it's got just this little bit of Southern, but it's pretty relaxed because it's got, you know, the Maryland O. Like, can you hear the difference right now? I can hear the difference hugely right now. Like, feels like I'm simplifying a lot. Uts, yeah, I love uts. Yeah, like everything I just did, that was a Maryland, and then now I'm back in New Yorker neutral, NPR, I guess. It's subtle. It's a little subtle, and it comes and goes. and now I'm doing it again. I'm leaning into it a little bit more where you can hear it, which the more you lean into it, the more it becomes, something more like you're down in somewhere southern. But yeah, I don't know. Internet funny man talks about accents and smiles when firefighters rush to extinguish the fires he caused. Take a shot every time a fire truck goes by. Yeah, usually there's a couple, but it's been more in the last hour. Anyway. I suppose I don't know when this stream is going to end. Somebody asked what's on the whiteboard. 2 projects and just a minor goal. Should just be focused on the channel, is what I'm thinking. Because I've been working on things outside of the channel, but it's like, okay, fuck it. Time to take it to the moon. Take it to the channel. Oh, hey, that's funny. I guess I should promote Moon Crew. Welcome, Alparuger 3532. If you want to join Moon Crew, like all of our special content for that is in Discord. So join the Discord. The link's on the channel, and then just @ me, and I'll put you in that section. It's very non-automated. We used to have a Patreon, but now it's just easier to do it this way. Minor goal: dig more diamonds. Yeah, my goal is to get enough people in Moon Crew and enough people listening to my Spotify consistently, because I'm going to make an easy listening album to just generate my rent. I just really would love to generate my rent from the channel. It would mean the world. And it's nice because I live in a really cheap apartment for New York City standards. I got really lucky. I found a really nice deal. Fucking my own studio. It's next to a fire department, so you have to wear, these are my sleeping earplugs just in case. You never know. Sometimes they blare their engines at night. Usually I don't, but sometimes they do. This apartment, think about this. I'm in Manhattan right now, and I'm in a studio apartment. I can actually walk across my room. You know that, go look at the old videos. Couldn't do what I'm doing right now. I was over there. Now I'm over here. Fucking $13.75. When I found it, I thought it was a scam, but turns out no. It's just that it's next to a fire department. But you even get all this sky out 2 windows. So now I have my bed here. And when I lay in bed, you're on my bed right now. Hey, baby. The sun comes in and the stars. It's great. Windows 95. It was a real non-thing for me for a while. So yeah, the goal is, get people in Moon Crew. Because right now I make $300 a month, which is great. That's awesome. But to be able to make my rent on the channel would be pretty fucking cool. And the other thing is that my monetization mindset is still in the 8,000 subscriber mindset, because I started Moon Crew at 8,000. And, there was a sense of I only have 8,000 people, so I can't constantly stream asking people to join Moon Crew. But with 40,000, you kind of can. So might stream more, who knows? And then I hadn't considered it, but the idea of making an easy listening album that's hey, if you want to support the channel, go listen to this record as kind of a background to your life or sleep or whatever. I'll make the idea is that it's going to be sleepable, but also kind of studyable, put it on, kind of soothing, almost like autistic music, which fucking it is. I listen to that and I should make some. So it's kind of a Patreon, but also you can chill to it. Of if you want to support the channel, but you don't want to join Moon Crew because, I don't know, you're 15 and you don't have a credit card in YouTube or $3 to spare, then go listen to Homeworlds, whatever. Damn, when did you take off to 40K? Who are you, Jushy boy? What's your little signia here? Why do you have are you a moderator? When did I take off to 40K? I had a big step forward in 2023 from about 15 to 22. And then the other 20,000 have grown over the last 3 years. Oh, hey, Jushy boy, you're my mod? Wait, I get a mod? Who are you? Does YouTube give me a mod in here? That's pretty cool. Who are you? I thought I was alone. Turns out Jushy boy has my back. Who is this guy? I've streamed so many times. I've never seen this. This is a moment in history. You modded me ages ago. Oh, I don't forget about you. I mean, I do, but who are you? Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, Jushy boy. Do you want to be relieved of your duty? Like, we're good. If you want to keep it, you can. I trust you. I didn't even know you existed. Yeah, I know I just forgot about him right now, but like, damn. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen you. Well, the other thing is, Jushy's like, why don't you remember me? It's like, you're asking me when I got to 40,000. I've been 40,000 for a while. Famous, it must have been a while ago, yeah. Famous internet superstar forgets his own son. Oh, hey, son. I thought for a second that like YouTube gave me someone and somebody's been watching every stream. I'm like, oh no. JC, you are not the father. Well, I've been here for 2.5 hours. Do I stay on? Is this anything? There's 33 people. We do seem to have a pretty decent, like just 30 people are in here. Yeah, I'm sure it was a bit when I was smaller, yeah. Whatever you feel like, man. That's the problem. I don't know what I feel like. I'm just here for the windows, right? They're great. So yeah, oh, somebody asked what was on my whiteboard. Yeah, just plans for world domination. It'll be a while, I think, but like whatever. I'm in a really cool impasse of like, okay, what can I throw away? What do I not need anymore? And then what do I keep? Artistically, comedically, the way I interact with you guys, the way I interact with the Discord. And it's super cool. Because 7 years, we're coming up on 7 years of me making videos, and things have really changed, and I've really changed. And my understanding of media, boy, my understanding of media has changed since becoming a person who like has a media brand fundamentally, right? But also the best part of it is that when you get rid of the whole pretense of it, it's like it really is just you guys are watching me stream right now and I'm talking. And that's weird. And I am now old enough to recognize that, and how now I've lived 7 of my 27 years on earth with that in my life. And it's only grown. So what does that make me? I fucking it's weird. And I've got a lot of confidence, so I'm not worried about whatever. You were smaller and there was a heckler spamming like crazy. I said, yo, mod me real quick, and timed out for 10 minutes. That's the other thing. We used to have crazier assholes. Thank you. I found you from Burger King on a Call Me Carson stream, then found you later without realizing who you were. True. I actually just talked to Carson the other day. Carson saw the knee video. It makes you old. Yeah. If you only ask people, I only ask if people want to be on my Tamagotchi island, because you can kind of play God with them. They can fall in love with a wise mystical tree. Makes me a Burger King. Yeah, you're right. That's the thing. I might take it too seriously. Like, oh my God, I have 40,000 subscribers. Okay, well, so do plenty of people. I don't know though. I find it weird, especially because like, what? It just comes back to that thing of like, I'm in a cool place of like, there are things that I don't need to do anymore, and there's things that I should do. So, and it's trying to figure out what those are is kind of tough. So right now I'm just doing less. Just do less. Just see what happens. Which is cool. BRB got a shit if I'm not back when the stream ends. Have a good one. See you, stream. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't like to just ramble, but well, that's not true. But I'm just here. One thing that's kind of good about having a group of people watching you in this era, especially as an actor, a comedian, an entertainer, an artist of any kind, to have an audience is nice, because it's a lonely game, just inherently. So to be able to just know that you can go to your audience and be like, "Hey, everybody," and that you guys know who I am, basically, is cool. It's definitely it manifests a little bit more inherent meaning of like, well, there's somebody there, so that's good. It would be sick if you sold out to a big brand. Yeah, that'd be really funny if I just like all these years of talking about like wanting to be an independent creator, and it's like Phase Clan presents. Um, I would for real fall in love with a wise mystical tree. It's true. Um, I don't know. Someone's singing on the street. That's funny. If I wish I could share my screen because I would like browse the internet with you guys. That'd be fun. You could have been big on TikTok, still can be. Just make random clips, upload the old ones, and don't stop. Yeah, I did think about that. Now that I have an ideological, like actual problem with TikTok, I won't. But I guess I could have. I mean, I could have posted, all 200 videos and just whatever, do call she ads. Yeah. I mean, I do think you definitely engage the audience a lot. Yeah, that's true. Do call she ads. I think I would consider. Here's the thing. Until like right now, I didn't feel like I was confident enough in my process of coming up with videos and like being a comedic creative person and my consistency at that. I felt like I was still getting good, and I still am getting good. Everybody's always learning in these things, but I think that's one of the reasons that like it's like, well, why didn't you post on TikTok? Why didn't you post on Insta? And it's like because I actually did post on Insta and I did blow up. Like I was getting Beyonce numbers for a fucking couple weeks there. It was insane, and it kind of fucked with me. And I wasn't ready for it. I don't want to be Rupert Pupkin. Do you guys know King of Comedy? Great movie, but it's about a guy who basically kidnaps his way onto late night television as a comedian, and he's not ready for it. He can because late night TV is what it is. You tell your jokes. And they're gonna laugh anyway. So he kills, but his jokes suck. It's weird. They're okay. They're just okay. And he's prepared, but he doesn't have, he doesn't naturally have anything that people are like gonna be compelled to. He's just a guy. Uh, and he steals his way into the limelight. And then what? What then? You're nobody. So that's the reason that I try really hard not to grind set this. Because I would be much more interested in people finding me for and digging me for what I actually am versus like a hustle that I've got down. And I think Matt Rife is a really good example of this. Matt Rife is really talented at crowd work. Matt Rife has not told one joke in a set of planned material that I have ever given a fuck about because that's not what he focused on. And that's fine. He's really talented. There's a reason that he did a crowd work special after he had a special that got him in trouble. And he opens his first, Netflix special, his first Netflix hour with a joke about like hitting women and how like Baltimore is like crazy and like whatever. And it's boring and it's shitty and it got him in hot water, but it makes you go, yeah, being really good at making Instagram reels is not the same thing as killing an hour. It's not the fucking same place, even like in the brain of a creative person or the heart of a creative person. So I look at a case like that and I go, I'm not, I already, I'm bad at crowd work, so it doesn't matter. But I wouldn't want to. It's interesting. Other creators, like I was saying, I was talking to Carson. I talked to Call Me Carson for the first time a couple years ago, and I told him I was a little afraid to get big too fast. And he was like, I don't know why you would care or worry about that. And I think it's because people give comedians different advice or they give comedians the same advice that they would give any creative person or any self-made entrepreneurial person. But being a comedian is different. It's just different. You're working from yourself in a way that you should not rush becoming a great comedian. You can't. You literally can't. So that's I try to remind myself of that because some days I'm like, well, I've only got 40,000 and I'm not making my rent on my channel yet, and I'm not. Fuck that. Are you guys laughing? Okay, good. Like whatever. Am I laughing? Am I having a good time? I didn't get into this because I wanted to be, to make money. I didn't. Clearly. Look at my bank account. So that's good to share with you guys. The feeling of like comedy as a hustle is just, ugh. And that's the difference between like a Kevin Hart and a Patrice O'Neal. And I love Kevin Hart, but he's not Patrice O'Neal. I'm just saying. It's weird too because it sounds like I'm talking shit, but it's just the truth. Anyway, your videos make me laugh. I feel like that magical thing you have the talent to do. Thank you. Somebody wrote that big B larv, ha ha ha, is totally fake, right? True. Yeah. Also, yes. Thank you for saying that. So many streamers and creatives would kill for $300 a month. Actors. What actor do I know who's just getting $300 for pictures of him taking a shit? So yeah, I gotta. Yeah, Merchant 271. You put it right. It's a weird thing of having artistic integrity and needing to pay your fucking rent. It's like this thing of like, and I would rather dig ditches and have a sense that I like what I'm doing. Because if I don't like what I'm doing, why? I don't know why I expected to come into the stream and be some joke if you're staring into the camera for the last 2 hours and they're talking. That is what you would think of me to do, right? But no, the streams are where I sneak in and I'm just like getting away with murder as a comedian. No comedian gets to just talk like this. I find you funny, no glaze. I send your glaze to my comedy buddies because they make me nostalgic for those days. That's cool, dude. That's really nice. Every time, that's the funny thing. It's been around the channel for long enough that now I'm like a nostalgic face for some people. Like some people are finding me now. Some people remember me from like. I mean, think about it. Like if somebody was really into me in 2021, they might have been in ninth grade and now they're in college. Like that's a pretty big difference in time. It's a weird thing of wanting to have artistic integrity, not for women, clearly. JC, I'm having a real hard time making a me of you. I always thought I kind of just looked like the default me, like pretty close to it. Dang, not again. Yeah, I think the one thing that's also nice about comedians is that people say, "Oh, comedy doesn't like age well," and that's true. But the memory of a laugh ages well, and I think that a comedian can like stay. I think comedians can stay with their audience for a really long time. Like comedians I loved 10 years ago when I was a kid, I'll still go see them live, Whereas like bands I loved 10 years ago, like I don't know, maybe, but it would be a little more like, ha ha ha, I'm going to see like, I don't know. I didn't really listen to bands when I was a teenager. Yeah, you can ping me in the Discord server. I'll see it. Yo, what's up, Pop? It's nice to see you in here. For any of you just like here, this stream has no purpose. It's just really cold in New York City, and so I thought it'd be good to just get on here and just kind of engage with the channel today because it's so cold and I'm so tired, and I'm just not making videos that much right now. But I can feel it coming back. It was good to make that podcast video. That was the first one in a while where I was like, oh, okay, cool, like getting back into it because I've just been working on other things so much, and dude, like it's crazy how much is going on right now, and yet my life's kind of quiet. The news is insane. I'm between jobs. I'm looking for my next job and kind of living off savings until that, which does not feel responsible. And then there's definitely like family stuff. I mean, like it's not tragic or anything, but my mom has Alzheimer's and I've been taking care of her occasionally, and she's in great spirits. She's fine, but she gets great care. All of our family resources are put into that. It's fine, but it's something. And that also changes your relationship with the rest of your family. So that's like that's a space opera. And then, obviously the winter right now is like this other like really acute thing. And I had a knee injury. It's like and all of this is happening at the same time. And I'm also having a certain comedic apotheosis. I'm definitely having a change of, I'm having a change of the guard as a comedian. I feel like something has left me and something has stayed, and then something new's come in, and kind of how I look at comedy has changed and what I want to do with it has changed, which has been amazing. I'm loving it. Going on stage has felt so much more free, and I'm performing better by doing less and having this great time. I have the tape. I should show you guys it, but I want to save the material for when I use it for something bigger, like a project. And it's funny, I'm going through all this and I feel bad that I don't have a way to, Shrimp, you took a shit for so long. Anyway, yeah, anyway, I think that all makes sense. But yeah, it's like a fireside chat. I just remembered pee leaving my body looks like, and I'm laughing really hard to myself. The video rules. Good, good. I don't even like it that much. A minute ago, I saw that comment, and I'm trying to remember what it reminded me of. There was some other bit that I've never done that reminded me of. Oh, well. It's fun to kind of go in front of your audience and eschew all of the rules that you usually have for yourself. Like, okay, I'm going to have a punchline. I'm going to be funny, whatever. It's good to... And it's good for you. It's good for you and the audience. Even if it's just you guys, I don't know how many people watch this video, but having a core piece of the channel that knows there's a person on the other end of this, it's not a show, it's a document of a guy, is really helpful. It's actually probably my favorite thing about how this channel works and about this kind of artistic work on like YouTube is that people can actually have... Put it this way, I went to the Met the other day, and for the first time I walked around and I looked at the pieces like a friend made them and showed them to me. Like Jackson Pollock was a buddy of mine, and now his stuff, Jackson, you did a really good job with that. And there's something, and obviously that's silly, I don't know Jackson Pollock, but looking at things that way takes you closer to the person who made it, and that's always going to make it better. It's kind of the same thing as like when I go on Spotify and I listen to a new artist. I used to not do this, but now I do. If I listen to a new artist and I want to listen to their album because Anthony Fantano told me I should like it, I read about the artist before I listen to the project, because then it means more. Otherwise, it's just like music in a vacuum, which sometimes it's that good. Sometimes an artist is really good at like bringing you into their world, but sometimes they're just writing songs and it's like, oh, it's interesting to know that this person's from here and this, that, and the other. Took a shit for so long. Is 12 minutes that long? Should I see a doctor? 12 minutes is kind of long. That's kind of a long time. One of my favorite videos by you is the weird... Okay, here's the thing about the We're Gonna Eat Andy video. Somebody submitted it to Vinny Vinesauce for a reaction, like a try not to laugh thing. And he was like, it's whatever. And I was like, yeah, because it's not that kind of video. It's not the kind of video where it's like, hey, try not to laugh at this. It's just a bit. It's a sketch. And that's actually one of the problems with sketch comedy in this time, is that sketches tend to be... We really love unpredictability in internet comedy. Like when you watch I don't know, Too Mad or something like that, where it's just like, you're just getting blown back by like insanity. So when you see two people like have a dialogue and then there's like a punchline, it's like, yeah, anybody can do that. And like, to be fair, anybody can. JC, if this is intrusive, it's fine. I haven't shared my birthday ever, actually. I've never told anyone on the channel my birthday. And I think that's because there's a few things that stay out of the persona because you don't need to know. You just don't need to. Like, what does the C stand for? Who gives a fuck? I don't even care. Like, what does the J stand for? Some of you know. It's been on, my, there was a short film that had the original J name. And I do, go by that J name with certain people. But I'm at a point now where JC is just as much my name as anything. Really, the most trans thing about me is my new name. I made a joke. I wrote a joke and I told it on stage. Had never told it before at this competition show. And it was like, Red Bull gives you wings, adrenaline of like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm telling a joke that I wrote in the green room with the other comics. I just wrote this punchline. And it did get a laugh, but it got like a kind of like a the audience was a combination of uncomfortable and laugh. It was cool. I liked it. Here's the joke. The reason I'm not trans is the same reason that I don't run Windows on my MacBook. Like, it would open up a lot of possibilities. It would be pretty cool, but I would get more viruses. So, I really like that joke. I didn't tell it that well. I've gotten better at telling the joke. When I did it in person, I wasn't as confident. I like it a lot. You have to punch that punchline though. You have to say, yeah. But I would get more viruses and like use that to show them this is the funny part, and then they'd probably laugh. It'd be better. But if you go, I think the way I told it on stage is like I did like it would be fun, it'd be cool, but I'd get more viruses. Like I kind of like buried the lead, and I don't think you can with that joke and get the kind of response that you want. Anyway, that's the other thing. I'm used to burying the lead on the internet because that's generally pretty good. It's a good thing to do on YouTube is like don't worry about like, bang, that's not good on the internet as much. People love something that's subdued, and you're not beholden to get a laugh on the internet. You're beholden to like just to please, to make it work. And that's different. You can have a joke be, you know, on the internet, the nose exhale. So you sometimes want to bury the lead because if you make it like, here we go, people can be a little like, hey, dude, we're on the internet, whereas in stand up, you do you can't really bury the lead. You kind of can. You can bury your lead on the way to the big punchline. I've learned that. Anyway, well, we know you're 27, so it's sometimes after February 7th, 1998, and February. That's true. That is true. It is actually. I was born between those. I love that I had to check the math, but yes. Yeah, the tough part is not telling in a way that makes it feel like a segue to the good punchline. Right. Yeah. The other thing that's interesting is that there's a thing of like, well, as a comedian, you don't want to be telling jokes. Like, yeah, you do. Like, it's just telling funny jokes. The audience is sitting there waiting for a punchline. Actually, the real reason that I think I got better in the last like couple months at stand up, especially the last like year, was my friend told me, don't write jokes, write laughs, because the audience is sitting there thinking, and this is the thing that makes stand up so different from getting laughs in any other type of medium and even in conversation. Even though it's a little bit like that, is that the audience is sitting there and they're going, okay, he's telling a joke. Okay, he's telling a joke. Where's this going? And that expectation means that there are certain things you can't do. My dad believes through and through that I should tell this joke. Okay. When I was a kid, I have autism, and so I didn't understand social cues. And so my dad asked me, where'd you finish? Because I was in a running race. And I said, by a tree. My dad thinks and has been saying for years, you got to say that on stage. No, I don't. There's a problem with that joke. That is triter, and it's too begging of, can you believe this funny story about me? When I was a kid, I said some kids just say these things. And the audience going, oh, he's going to tell us a joke that he wrote. Okay, here we go. Time for a joke. He's going to tell us a joke. Here we go. If I tell that joke, they're going to be like, okay. And that's the problem. And that's why a lot of times people's first attempts at stand-up are things that they could say. Like, you ever watch like a mom or like somebody go on America's Got Talent and do their comedy? But it's like, that's not comedy. That's like a thing that you would say in conversation, and your friend would be like, oh, that's, yeah. But it's polite. It's not the same thing, and it's not built around the assumption, again, that they're listening going, okay, here we go, humor. And because they're doing that, that's, I think, what makes stand-up so hard. And what's funny is it's also the thing that makes stand-up so easy. Just okay, they're waiting for a laugh, so make them laugh right now. Just make them laugh, whatever. And that means actually the other thing that makes stand-up a little too easy is that they are ready to laugh, which means you can get a laugh with them off bullshit, put it on the internet. People who aren't in the mood to be like, okay, I'm going to laugh. I'm 2 drinks in and I'm going to laugh. They're going to watch that same bit and they're going to be like, what? Who gives a fuck? Which is interesting. That's one of the reasons that there's really good club comedians who just can't get their stuff to work on the internet, because it's built for that environment. It's really interesting. I do like the idea of subverting that by not making them laugh at all. It's anti-comedy has its place, but I always think that, like, I was just talking to my friend about this. He was like, what do you think of like people who are doing like anti-comedy, like comedy shows at 8 a.m. where it's like intentionally shitty? I'm like, that's funny once. I don't want to watch that. I don't know whose career is going to be that, unless you're like Nathan Fielder level good. But Nathan Fielder is not anti-comedy. He is just dry. He's so funny. Anyway. And also, I don't get the joke, to be honest. Which one? It's polite, not honest. Showing Cup of Dirt's comment, jump scare. Oh, okay, cool. It's what happens when your friend says, haha, you're so funny, you should do stand-up. Well, the other thing is that most people think they know how stand-up works. And that's why every open micer, including me, I mean, dude, I remember when I got into stand-up, I was so angry because I was like, I can't get one laugh. I'm going on stage and I cannot get the audience to laugh one time. And I make people laugh all the time. So what's happening? And it turns out most of getting better at stand-up, you ever see like an early clip from a comedian you love and you're like, they were that bad? How did they get that good? And it's because they always were that good. They were always that funny. But stand-up is an inherently it gives people the impulse to be pretentious. My favorite thing I've ever seen was my friend who worked at a bar with me. There was an open mic. He was like 22, a little bit younger than me. This was like 2 years ago. And he goes and he goes on the open mic, and his real voice was like, he was from New York, born and raised Brooklyn, American accent, whatever. Yeah, whatever, dude, whatever kind of thing. Gets on stage, goes, "Hi, everybody." I was like, no, he has a comedian voice. He was like, yeah, so folks, swear to God, that it was that intense of a alteration. And it was so good. Now that I've done comedy, you kind of have to have spent a little bit of time around it before you. I'm not saying, oh, civilian, let me explain, because I hate that. Because stand up is for normal people. Stand up, and it's for people. Comedian. There's like two. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. It's time for my ultimate comedic explanation of everything wrong with comedy. Okay, you've seen this meme before, right? The bell curve meme. Here's a bell curve. Okay. This is people over here who've never done stand-up, like never even thought about comedy. People who don't like understand anything about comedy. They don't even know what the rule of threes is, or like any of these whatever theoretical bullshit things. These people are the funniest people on planet Earth. The funniest people, okay? Do you understand that? These people are better. Here's everybody that like, this is people who watch comedy specials and maybe they've written a joke, or maybe they think of themselves as funny. This is my parents are in here and my whatever, okay? And then here's like really good comedians, okay? So, and this includes like open micers are like right here. Open micers are right about here. Okay, and then most club comedians are like right here. And then everybody in here is like just a normal fucking person, and everybody here is just a normal person. And everybody here in this zone is a fucking asshole. Like, can't stand them. I can't stand these people. They're so fucking awful. You go, I mean, this is crazy. I can't believe I'm explaining this. Okay, so here's the thing. I'll get another color. Here's the thing. Okay, and now we're gonna get into the meme version of it. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I am that guy who took a shit. I'd love it if I was the shit taking guy. That'd be nice. That would feel like a real win, to not be just the Burger King guy, but to be the guy, the shit taking guy. It's like, okay, I've won if I'm the shit taking guy. Okay, these people over here in this area of the first part of this bell curve, they think comedy is funny people making us laugh, right? God, I love this. This is so fun. Okay, they think comedy is funny people making us laugh, okay? These people in the middle think comedy is modern day philosophy and truth and to power and art and all kinds of stuff. Okay. And then over here, these people, and this axis right here is how much you like do stand up. I've found, or it could just be not even stand up, just like comedy. I don't know, just how much you fuck with comedy, I guess, and how much time you've spent in it, especially, like, which is why you see this and think, okay, so comedy is funny people making us laugh. Modern day philosophers, here's all the middle people. These people are consumers of comedy, but they think it's something else. They're actually tricked by the theater of comedy. They think that like Kill Tony is like an important piece of our society, right? Okay, and then these people over here, actually more importantly, these people think, not even Kill Tony's not even the best example of that. These people think that Joe Rogan is an important person because comedians or whatever. Okay. So over here, these people think comedy is funny people making us laugh. Okay? So this is what's wrong with comedy right now. This is my problem with this entire art form. This bell curve, the consumers of it, they almost like, it's almost like WWE for them. And that's fine. But I'm just saying, if you want to enjoy your life and enjoy like fucking humor and stuff, either be an idiot or be, I don't know, a genius. And I'm not a fucking genius. So I'm over here. Okay. And that's who I am. Somebody asked earlier who I am. That was really cathartic for me. Have I ever thought of adding a bow tie to my set? That would be. I have thought about it. It'd be funny to wear like a vest and a fedora, just like kind of like to dress like Ryan from High School Musical was kind of what I thought would be funny. All right. That is the comedy ecosystem and infrastructure. And what's amazing, here's the thing. You would think that to be a professional comedian, you have to be up here. But you can just be in here. There's people who think comedy is that, who somehow are like also making people laugh, but it's like, it must be exhausting. And I've had periods of my time where I'm like in that, it's like exhausting. Also, then this is, see down here how these people are like, this is, could even be like how dumb or smart you are, or whatever. Like these people, like, you ever see a dumb person who's amazing at comedy? They're better than any of us. You ever seen Rich Voss do a set? Like, doesn't even make sense. Anyway, all right. You ever just seen someone at the grocery store talking on their phone and you're like, they're funnier than I'll ever be? Somebody said something the other day that really killed me. I can't remember what it was. Anyway. Yeah, that's my theory, dude. That's my theory. We're living in a sociological, like, new era where all of our different, like, mass media, and then there's also in person, and all the different ways that we like communicate with each other are so varied that they take up different rules, and I'm trying to understand them all, and it's breaking my brain. That's weird that the light changed colors, because I didn't change the colors of the lights. Oh well. What are my chat rules? I don't know. Just be cool, man. Chocolate guy. Have you thought of adding a wacky catchphrase after every joke? Something along the lines of whoopsie daisy or zounch? You know what is interesting is like, this could just be like, I could just be like a streamer who doesn't do anything. I could just be a streamer that just talks like this all the time. Just like, yeah, you can come talk to me in chat and whatever. I feel like that's interesting, right? Where it's just like, there's just nothing happening. I don't know. Yeah, the homeless savants of comedy. Yeah, the funniest people ever are dumb people. Like, dumb people are so funny. I'll tell you this, the funniest fucking person I've ever met was this guy named Brandon Hewitt. He was jolly and just he was this big guy. Ended up getting really fit later, but at the time in high school when I knew him, we went to high school together. He was really big, really fat, and in a really jovial way. Like, he was like just a happy, like, he was very active, but he just was like really big boned. And he was a compulsive liar, like just lied, and would talk about all the bitches and whatever and all the money that he had. And he was from really wealthy parents who had like really tacky tastes, which made it even better. And he was insane, completely insane. And he he's my father. I haven't told you guys. Anyway, the most successful streamers literally don't do anything. It's true. Any tips for stand-up? Not sure if I want to try it. I don't know. Actually, I do. Okay, my only tip for stand-up is it just, if you do it, if you just go on stage and talk, you'll inherently like be ahead of most of the game. Just go on stage and talk, and then you'll find like what works. And open mics are not important. People talk about open mics, go do 10 open mics a day. Maybe if you want to make connections or meet friends, or if you want to test a bunch of new material, but like just doing stand-up, like open mics to get good, like you're already probably pretty funny. Like you probably already know how to like go in. If you don't know how to go in front of people and talk to them, maybe do, sure, open mics. But like, I don't feel like open mics made me better at comedy so much as writing and doing paid audiences, no matter how I could get to do them. And doing some open mics to get the failure out of the way, sure, like when you're just starting out. But I have a friend who's a host at the Comedy Cellar, has done 12 open mics ever. And he's only been in comedy for a couple of years. And he's already a host at the Cellar. And like the minute he told me that, I was like, okay, thank you. Cause like this whole thing of like, yeah, you got to go to the open mics. You got to get up. You got to get up all the time. It's like, what are you learning from telling a bunch of nervous comedians your material? Also, if you get good at doing that, one time I did a open mic, did the same material about an hour later at a paid show, killed at the open mic, died at the paid show because it's so different. Comedians laugh at different things. Open micers have a dark sense of humor because they're comedians. They can handle anything. Anyway, especially in New York City. How do you do comedy if not at open mics? You would then focus on self-producing your own shows. You would focus on getting on shows. I mean, definitely do open mics to practice if you need to, but the idea that you're going to get good at comedy by just doing a bunch of open mics. I know somebody they're trying to break the world record for the most open mics attended in a row. So she's been to like 1,000 open mics in a row every day. It's like, I've seen your sets. You're not getting better at this by doing that. You're making yourself fucking miserable. Why would you take the fun out of talking to people? That's the other thing, is that I do think that my least favorite thing about some comedians is that because they've done it so much, they're jaded to the fact that a bunch of people are listening to you right now, and you are entertaining them, sure, but they're also giving you their ear. It's a very ancient social thing. So can you not maybe, can it be a little more of an occasion? Can you see the opportunity right now? Why are you talking about what you're talking about? Why are you, and I think that's, once you can get over that lump, you're immediately in a better camp of, you'll enjoy it more. So that's my thing about open mics. And you can get booked on shows by you go to mics and you meet people and you connect and whatever. But I've always found that like any way you can get on a show, even if it's just got 10 audience members that are not comedians. Like I've done a 7-person show because, again, not an open mic. It was paid and people paid $10 and there were like 7 people in the audience. And then we had a great time. It was a great show. It's the thought that counts. Purple Perry Gaming sent his regards. That sounds awful. I tried rating your stream, but you don't have it enabled. We're getting raided. Gonna start a stream to raid JC. Raid it, bro. Bring it. Oh, I have 43 people in here. We still showed up. Anyway, I feel like Perry sent us to harass you. Purple Perry Gaming. Hey, y'all. Who's Purple Perry Gaming? Hi, Purple Perry. Purple Perry Gaming. I'm watching your channel now. Okay, yeah. You have like 1,600 subscribers, so you have like mildly rateable, right? Is that you here? Oh, that's so funny. You're not a gaming channel? You're a sketch channel called a gaming channel? That's funny. What that whiteboard do right now, almost nothing. I don't have anything on there. For those of you who are here, this stream has no meaning and I'm just hanging out. The weather is really cold. It's like 10 degrees outside, so I'm just sitting here. I've been here for 3 hours and 13 minutes. Yeah, I explained the bell curve of comedy. I explained, whiteboard mentioned, it's true. I talked about Moon Crew and shit, but I'm not promoting Moon Crew today. I do need to get better at just like letting people know the Discord and Moon Crew exist. It's 8 degrees F over here. Actually, yeah, it's probably chillier now. The temperature in New York is 6 degrees, actually. Wow. What's in the fridge, Wayne? There's actually nothing. My fridge isn't even turned on right now. My refrigerator is not running. I am completely safe against prank calls. It's fantastic. I love what you've done with the place. You're talking about my place? I do too. Very happy with it. It's not even plugged in. Yeah, I don't have anything in the fridge right now. It makes too much noise, and I just don't need it. My rent is $13.75, which is a really good deal that I found. I was talking about this earlier. I thought it was a scam, but I just was like the first person to a good deal. And it's next to a fire department. So I sleep with these earplugs in, but that's fine. Do I have the flu? No, I have a little phlegm cough. Also, I've been talking for 3 hours. What do you eat if you don't have anything in your fridge? I eat a lot of stuff from like bodegas and stuff like that, like corner stores. And I do have stuff in my pantry, like I make soup. And I mean, when I have stuff in my fridge, it's obviously turned on, eggs and bacon and things in the morning and milk. But I just haven't had groceries in the fridge in a while just because I did just get back to town about a week ago. So I just haven't been to the grocery store yet. Maybe add legs to your fridge to have it run. Nuggets, biscuits. When you think of walking into a bar joke, what do you think of? I don't actually have like one in mind. Do you hear that? It's like yard work happening outside. 6 degrees. Anyway, metal. I guess we're coming to the end here. I didn't have any reason to be here. Speaking of gay voice, okay, here we go. Hey guys, how's it going? Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because there's no meaning to the stream. There's no reason for it to end. There's no reason for it to end or continue. I'm coughing though. Good one. Listen, fuck it. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna promote Moon Crew and then I'm gonna leave. You want me to tell you guys a joke? I'll tell you a joke. Here, I'll tell you a new joke that I wrote. I'll look through my jokes. I've got some material that's worth testing. You got 38 people here. You might as well. It's like the size of a decent little stand-up crowd. You guys can tell me in the chat what you think. Sorry, the yard work outside is also, if that stays bad, I should definitely get off. Okay, I'm looking through my jokes. View as icons. There we go. The text files. I told that other one earlier. No. Wow, 40 people. Hi. I'm looking through my jokes to see. I want to just end on a joke. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think it's interesting. Everything that gay people use to fuck, autistic people use not to fuck, like iPhone apps and little community meetups and trains. I like that joke. I like that joke a lot. Yeah, we got a 100 in the chat. We got a 100 reaction. Yeah, that'll be on the new record, I think. It's in there. Okay. Hey, if you want more access to stand-up clips or any of my sort of like behind the scenes content, press that join button below. It's $3, price of a cup of coffee. And in the Discord, you'll have access to all of that behind the scenes stuff. About 100 people in that Moon Crew special access tier. If you want to join, it's down below. Press that button. I might as well say it because I'm on stream and I don't promote it ever. But I did just give a really nice Finding Nemo incest bit to the Moon Crew that is recorded from a recent stand-up set. Yeah, I'm working on a record. It's going to include stand-up. I don't know exactly how it works yet, but it's been a process. Been working on it for a long time. It's been a thing I want to do for a long time. But yeah, if you're interested in more behind-the-scenes content and whatever, you want to join the inner circle, $3, join Moon Crew. And that is going to be it for me. Thank you for joining today. And thank you for listening to me. A lot of talking. And I hope you guys are doing very well. Hopefully more videos coming next week. I think I'm going to take the rest of this weekend off just because, holy fuck, a lot is going on for me. And I am still kind of processing everything. I don't know if you know this guy named Jeffrey Epstein, buddy of mine. Anyway, everybody have a great night. And I'll talk to you soon. See ya.